All right, we're back here live with another Unsourced Radio. We're talking about everyone's favorite sci-fi Disney, cult hit movie from 50, 40 years ago, The Black Hole. Yes, yes, we're
Yeah!
talking about The Black Hole today.
Black hole
Aha,
Oh,
heads.
yes.
baby!
Yeah. Anyway,
You
no,
just got
we're
Finally.
pranked.
Oh,
talking about Tron. But wouldn't it be nice? Let's go through all the weird sci-fi movies Disney did. All right. Anyway, we're here about talking about Tron. I'm here with my fellow program, Soup, um,
greetings, program.
Tony, and Doug, who have been here a bunch of times already. And we're talking about Tron. I love Tron. Some people here love Tron. Some people here don't love Tron. But we're just talking
Lucky.
about. Lucky us, yeah. But what better way to celebrate the release of a new film than just going back and seeing where it all went wrong? Okay. So we're talking about the first two films going in order. We'll save the best for last with Aries. But Tron, man, Steven Lisberger. What can you say, man? I love the original film. I know I hadn't seen it until like I was maybe like 12, but it's one of those films when it comes to like a when it comes to like being a cult film that everyone uses as a catch-all. Like, obviously there's that reference in the Simpsons Shares of Horror. I think that's where I first heard about Tron. Like no one saw it. They're like, you know what? It's six in your brain. It's a catchy title. But let's go around the table. Let's see what everyone your first initial thoughts of the franchise, how you're familiar with it, and also the first film. Just briefly before we go into more in depth. Soup, you're a newcomer. How about you take the wheel? Your introduction to the franchise and what your thoughts on the first are.
Yeah. So I kind of just needed stuff to watch over COVID. And I had always heard that it was just, like really revolutionary and everything. So I checked it out. I kind of like, I sort of was like, that was neat. Like with the first Tron, the first time. And then really, and we'll talk about it more later, but like really kicked into it with Legacy. Like Legacy, to me, I would still say it's like the best of the three. But like it really kind of like clicked most things for me. And then revisiting, because like I think Legacy, um, probably most like I've watched it like 5 times at this point. And like I'm not a huge movie rewatcher, but like I do come back to Legacy a lot. And then revisiting Tron One the night before seeing Ares, I got a lot out of it this time. I think I was just more in a better headspace of like kind of glomming onto like the kookiness of it. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So got into it over COVID just because I needed something to do. Kind of needed to grow on me for Tron 1. Tron Legacy and Uprising were kind of my big bags with it.
Great. But okay. So Tony, what do you think? Big surprise drum roll, okay? Because you've been hyping us up. Like you went back and rewatched these, yeah?
Oh yeah, totally. Of course, I had to, right? And the reason I had to is because I hadn't seen these movies in a long time, right? Like I won't get too much into Legacy because we're on Tron right now, right? But I probably watched the original Tron like in the 2000s or early 2010s, right before Legacy came out. That was because largely when I was younger, I used to watch all of the blockbusters to kind of understand like how the blockbusters were made. That was a thing that I was interested in when I was a lot younger. And the thing that I didn't appreciate about Tron back when I was younger was how slow it was. And I feel as though returning it to it now, I'm a lot more charmed by Tron, the first movie. And
Mhm.
without revealing my cards too much, I will say that of the three movies, this is the one I like the most. Like, I think the original Tron is pretty good. There's a lot of wonkiness to it. It's really crickety,
Yeah.
it's barely held together, but I kind of like that spirit to it. I also like it's kind of secretly a swords and sandals like Ben-Hur like
So
biblical epic style
It's
movie,
Spartacus.
right?
It's Spartacus,
Exactly. Yeah. And I really appreciated that element of it and having somebody like Jeff Bridges who's centering it. So overall, I think that Tron's a lot of fun and it's surprisingly organic for how synthetic the world is presented. And yeah, I thought it was really charming.
Okay, Doug, you had a little bit to say there, so let's hear your thoughts on like where you came from, how you came into the franchise and the first movie.
Like I had some friends who were like way in the weeds of Tron, and like originally when they showed me the first one, I was like, oh, okay, this is cute. Like I get like that's cool for the era, and then I kind of like didn't revisit it until after like around like when Legacy came out. I saw that, loved Legacy, and then went back watched the first one. And Tony mentioned like a wonkiness, and I would agree. I'd say to a certain degree, like it's a wonky franchise as a whole, but there's like a character to that wonkiness for at least for the first one, and I'd say Legacy worked for me. It's just kind of just like a vibe, like there is a story, and we could try and dissect some of the lore within this world. I feel like it's one of those things that makes less sense the more you dissect, but it's just a vibe that I like hanging out in, especially like on rewatching this first one. Like I was like, oh yeah, this has always kind of been like a like yes, the visuals and special effects was groundbreaking for that, but on an audio visual level, like you have Wendy Carlos doing the score for this first one.
And fantastic stuff, man.
It's fantastic. So it's like the music has always kind of been a part of like helping you transport you to this world, but then also just almost like I almost enter like a trance like state, like when the music and visuals of the grid are hitting correctly, like I'm just like, yeah, I'm in another place right now, and that's like the value of these movies to me.
No, definitely. Like, who can forget the bum 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 boom, boom. That's great. Like and I totally understand the wonkiness, because the Tron series as a whole is a very big ask. We mentioned already that it's very much like a sword and sandals kind of epic. It's fantastical, but it's something that's not fantastical at all. The entire hook of it. You're going into like, a digital world that lives inside computers, but that's different than say like Star Wars, where like that's outer space. There might be aliens that are telekinetic or that can move things with like their mind or read minds, all of that, but computers like chips and metal. And so it's a really big aspect. Like, oh, what if they're all alive and think of us as gods?
Well,
and
that's the interesting way that the series enters, right?
Yeah.
Because it gets different with each film, right? But I think that what's interesting about the way that like programs are depicted in this movie is that they are of humanity, right?
Yes.
And they're an extension of it, but they're also a different being, and they live
Yes.
within their own world, and they have their own code. Literally, it's a really interesting way of conceptualizing it. It seems like it's almost like a layman's version, because the person who wrote this probably wasn't a huge expert, but knew enough, and it's enough to where you can buy into it.
That was kind of something. It's like it's almost like a bit of going from like Tron 1 to Legacy. This all being like Flynn's doing is almost kind of a bit of a retcon, because like I get the sense from the first movie that it's like every computer has little guys running around inside it, and he's like more like the first guy who encountered them for the first time. And then the later movies kind of retcon it, like no, like he is able to create these computer programs. But like it was kind of just this idea of like, oh, the little mice inside the walls.
You're definitely right about that, because the first film, anything is alive. Everything's alive. Like
because you have like the little accounting program.
Exactly, your calculator's alive.
There's little guys in there.
Probably alive.
Everything is a grid.
Everything is a sentient being.
I feel like each one shrinks the idea of that, of like what the grid is, because like that's what I get confused about by the time you get to areas where I'm like, so wait, each company has their own grid then, or like is it like, because it like you said in this first one, any technology, it's all alive. It's basically like Toy Story, right?
Yes.
Like
I was gonna say exactly that, Dougie.
It's very like Toy Story.
Yeah, I almost kind of just think of it as like the machine elves or like the borrowers. Like they're just
totally
in there.
But you're right, because it does fall away. Because like you can excuse away that Tron Legacy is like it's like an ant farm, okay, it's secluded and maybe you can play around with it, but then we get the Tron areas, like, so like I was confused, and that's why I thought it was a missed opportunity. Skipping a little bit, into Tron Ares, when they're like, okay, so we have all this stuff, and we're building an AI version of these people. We're like 3D printing them, but you don't really see anything behind that, the processes of that in
Oh
Ares,
man.
And then in Tron, what I love about the first one is that all the processes, all like these things are their own little units,
Mhm.
Right.
like when you in the beginning when you see like the when the laser, is first, being activated for the orange test. You see like when it's going into its loading screens, one of the prompts, mentions Tron's girlfriend Yori. Like she's a program
Mhm.
for that helps with that laser. And then when we see Yori in like the digital world on the grid, she's like part of like this whole kind of like star fleet, like 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 base
Yeah.
that also does like these solar sailors. So I'm thinking like light laser technology, like you know particle transmission. Like that's her thing, and she has all these people around her that work on this thing. That's how programs work, and everything else is like individual subunits. And that's interesting. Like that shows like a society. You can easily like subdivide that a little bit more.
Yeah,
And
it is very ant-like.
yeah,
Because like I forget, because Ellis, you haven't seen Uprising, have you?
no,
Like,
I don't
ah,
watch cartoons.
oh, okay.
No, I
It's
do.
actually
Baba Booey.
it's
I
good
do.
animation, just solid, separate from being like
No,
Tron content.
I do watch
Yeah.
cartoons, but I just trying to be too much of like Batman Beyond. Like, oh, so this guy named Beck. I don't want to see Beck. I want to see Tron.
Oh no, Beck is cool. No, I mean like, but like they kind of go into sort of the societal aspect of it because it's like them having this show about these programs. Like you actually have to figure out like what do Tron programs do like when there's not a movie going on.
I mean, Jeff
And it,
Bridges walks through a red light district in the
yeah,
first.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
probably one of the coolest parts of that movie. Like,
Like that's why, yeah, that's why I like. You don't see that much, and Harry's is like, there's
yeah,
nothing there, man.
These movies get
well,
progressively not I'm not gonna say that like the first original Tron is like super horny, transgressive,
Kinda horny.
blockbuster, but there's more in it than there is the average Disney movie now. Like
yeah.
there where there's like no romance or ounce of horror, and I feel like that gets at like the idea if we're gonna poke at the messy idea of like what is humanity, could a program love a human or vice versa, you should get kind of freaky with it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
totally.
that was honestly something that did work for me with Ares. Is like I kind of found it to also be comparably horny.
I
in certain.
disagree entirely.
yeah,
I can see where you're coming from, but Aries is like so
Oh yeah, well,
unsexual.
like I think at this point we just have to just realize he's like he's the outlying variable in this. But
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
for
If
me
you
it was
replace,
kind of
you can
like
do a lot of different things with that movie if you replace the lead.
yeah.
Yeah, it's foundational. It's a problem in the foundation.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's something we were talking about, like how there was those echoes of those characters,
Yes.
right? And I just wanted to flag how that was kind of like Wizard of Oz. I wanted to say
Yeah.
how this is
Mhm.
really
It's very
leaning
Wizard of
into
Oz.
the fantasy element, right?
You
That
get the
a lot
big
of this is
face, like
it's awesome, right? In the sense that it's able to translate these things that, in the early 80s, the average person barely knows anything is about computers. It's able to play with those things in ways where they can kind of go, yeah, I can kind of go along with that, right? And, from a modern perspective, we can just enjoy it as pure fiction. And along those lines, I really like the way the special effects are done in this film because
Oh.
they use a lot of color tinting, like
Yeah.
classical silent film techniques to do stuff paired with early computer generated technology. It actually is beautiful. I really love the way this movie looks.
Oh,
yeah,
I
it
love it
still
too.
is. There's just nothing else
The
that
the
looks
the,
like
re-
that.
the restoration they did is phenomenal. It's
Yeah,
it's
I'll
honestly
probably get the 4K of that. I don't
like
know
like
if I need the 4K for
like it
Legacy.
fixes up a lot of the coloring issues. And there's segments there that I looked and like this looks exactly like the sheen on the concept art, and it did not before. So there's definitely little fixes
That
there.
concept art looks amazing for
It does.
anyone who hasn't seen it. Like, look that up. It's incredible. But also for people who aren't aware, like the way that they did, like, yes, of course, it was pushing the like what computer effects could do at the time, but like for the actual like scenes with actors, the way that was filmed with like a black screen, basically, like in black and white, and then like manually cell by cell adding color to it, like by hand, like that's crazy. Like the work that they put into like just like every like second and frame you're seeing of this film.
It's very art house at times.
Yeah, I would really recommend anybody check out the Making of Tron documentary. I know it's only, I mean, I think the only way I know of it is on the Legacy DVD.
It's also on the Blu-ray, and it's also on the future social features if you get the digital copy of the.
Okay, good. Yeah,
the Tron
super cool, and that gave me like such a really big appreciation
intensive.
for it.
You were saying, Tony?
I was just gonna say that it like to echo something about the whole tinting of the thing, the lens, the frame. Sorry, I'm losing my words for whatever reason. It just does feel like a silent film, and the fact that it has that old school flair to it compared with the old school feeling of the fantasy and the sword and sandals thing, it feels like this movie's almost eternal in a way that a lot of like the Tron Legacy and Ares don't. Like those feel more like they're products of their era, and this movie really does feel like it would stand the test of time long run, because at least on the front of just like expression and craft in delivering that emotion, I just get that entirely. Also,
it feels like it's outside of time.
It's outside of time for sure.
Yeah, it's like a quantum computing. You know,
like
that's what computers look like inside, as far as I can still be concerned.
Yeah, but like I get what you mean, because it's such a unique vision that I had to come across it at so many different ways, so many different influences. It's like we're gonna bring up Star Wars a lot as we go along, because like especially with Ares and Legacy. But like it's one of those things where like you can see the influences and where they came from, but they have melded in such a way that there really isn't anything like it. There, and not even the sequels are like, not even Legacy, which I love. It's like it. It's like so piecemeal. It's like cobbled together in a way that is like a complete gestalt entity, of itself. Like and that's true. I think that if you're gonna like any of the ones in the series, and think one of the ones is the best, I think the first is still like this completely, just. Like undiluted stream of like what were they thinking. This has to have been just someone's big idea. Like that's why
just from a pure creativity standpoint.
It's a sincerity to it. Like sincerity to the idea. Like, okay, what if like Jesus was just some guy who came down and then like and suddenly he's just like your buddy and you're going on this adventure to kill an evil wizard in a giant castle somewhere. Like, okay, and then like there's a bunch of sci-fi stuff too. Okay,
yeah, it's like that's just such a stock 70s movie, like a fantasy movie. Just
let's just add Jesus there for some reason. Like let's say like the Sword and the Sorcerer, or let's add Jesus in there.
Would if Peter O'Toole hadn't dropped out and he stayed on as Dillinger and Sark, would that improve the movie for you guys?
That's interesting.
Tenfold.
I didn't know he was going to be him.
I think he really wanted to be Tron, and something about that he did. I don't know if he fully understood like the process of how they were doing the movie or what.
I just like the idea.
The making of documentary, Steven Lisberg said, or I think one people were like, Peter O'Toole desperately wanted to visit the set. And they're like, "There's no set." And
it's like, I want to be in a tank. There's no tank.
I want to go in the computer.
He wanted to see the bridge of the Solar Sailor. Like,
he wanted to ride that wave.
He was really excited. It's kind of sad. Like, okay, why not? That'd be cool. But I like David Moore. I think Sark is like. And like Dillinger and MCP, he does the
MCP is a good villain. I was scared of him as a kid.
I love the MCP. Everything about the MCP is like proto Skynet, man. It's crazy.
End of line.
Yeah, it's so funny that all the they have this whole, all of them are sentient. All these programs are sentient, but the MCP is like the only one that you could truly say like an AI kind of thing, because it's
just machine with all emotion stripped out. It's just pure
all the other programs have like a spark of a soul, your creativity put into it. Tron, passion. Yori, passion. Ram, for whatever it's worth, passion. Even that schlubby guy, someone had passion crediting him. They're meant to feel. Crom is great.
Is that the guy who's in the chair, like in the desk? Yeah,
the highlight guy.
Who does he calculate that he is?
Another
you want to
religious
talk
guy.
about like things that get like kind of like lost. because like even like I love like Legacy, but like you do kind of get like photocopy of a photocopy with each successive movie, and it's like
Mhm.
the programs talk a little bit less goofy in Legacy. Like there's still some in there, but like I would love like a little bit more of like who do you calculate you are like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that the programs in Tron are kind of like peasants, you know,
Yeah.
like they're just
Yep.
kind of like
Yeah.
They
just
are.
existing and they're around, right? Like we talked about the
Yeah, like
nightclub Red Light
when Ram
District, but
is talking about like the insurance stuff, you know, like
Mhm.
reminiscing almost about like doing little insurance calculations. And it's like, but now I am here in the Coliseum.
Oh my god, it's
The-
Coliseum. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But
you
you're saying
don't really have the sword and sandals feel at all in any of the other than the fact that like yes, the grid games are like a gladiator
Yeah.
sport. Like that's really the only idea that persists.
It feels more like a video game the more it goes along, ironically enough, even though Tron is like of video games or at least like adjacent to it, right? And really adjacent to it in weird ways. I think that like we touched on Wendy Carlos's soundtrack, but like the score is often like imitating the bleeps and bloops of
Yeah.
arcade cabinets. And I really like that it feels in that way so cohesive with that understanding of technology.
Yeah. And I would even still say, like, if we're talking about like the kind of timelessness feel, all three of the soundtracks to me, like the best parts of them aren't like the bleepy bloopies. It's like the orchestral stuff, the things that gives it like a warmth. Because it's like
Totally.
that life has been there. Like that life is timeless versus bleeps and bloops sound different, you know, depending on your decade.
Like-
Right.
like that. I think that part when the first score when they're creating the Surface there and they're launching the Surface there and it gets like super orchestral, but like on electric kind of bass. That's so good. Like that hits me right in the brain. Like that.
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's like this polygon model of like a ship. But like you know what? F it. This is like fantastic. You know I love it.
Yeah.
But you're right. But like there's less of a to get more human, but there's less of humanity to them, in a way, even in Legacy. And I do love Legacy, but there's less of humanity to programs. Like there's less of
It
an inner
almost
life.
charts of how like anyone who games like now the trend is like to me I think this kind of boring to keep chasing realism with like these bigger budget games of like how can we let's capture the physics and like the AI of the enemies needs to be like so lifelike and stuff. I'm like that's kind of boring. Like it becomes less interesting the less you abstract it in a way.
The interesting thing about Tron and Tron Legacy is that they're so explicitly about like an authoritarian or a feudalist society trying to fight for autonomy, right? And not autonomy in the exact perspective of visiting the real world, but we'll get to Legacy when we get there, but rather just freedom within the world that they live within, right? And that's the universe to them, right? And I like it in like almost a Men in Black Marbles sense. You know how like all the universes are in the marbles? Like I feel like this is what Tron is to me, maybe further into the program of Tron, they would have their own version of Tron, and it's just like an endless loop that keeps on going forever.
That's what the sequel should be getting into. Yeah.
Well, it kind of does. Tron Legacy kind of does. We'll get there.
Yeah, it does.
But like, let's see here. But one of my favorite things is, when Tron is like, I don't want to go home and find a bunch of cold circuits waiting for me. It's like it's a little thing because like their programs, they have their set parameters, their purpose, right? Their directive, but it's just like how we do what we need to do. It's just like another day.
We have programming.
Yeah, we have program. We have things we need to do. We have things we need to do just to get by. And it's like it's just there is like on a character level on the first one a lot more of a semblance humanity that is lost. Like you can't tell me like what motivation or like inner life Michael Sheen's mole has.
Caster.
He wants to party.
No. I meant mole with 2 L's. The girl. What's her name?
Oh, Jem.
Jem.
Oh, you see her. Like I kind of figured, it's like almost like a Selena Kyle.
Yeah, there's not a lot of life.
I was like, a lot of this is
you got to headcanon that stuff.
Oh yeah, but
exactly.
it's like you see her shoot Cora a dirty look at one point. So I figured there's a bit of like a language or a romantic triangulation going on.
Who can
Or is
tell?
it because Korra is an Io and that's like a racial
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean maybe both, because like
Maybe both.
it definitely seems like Zeus has some kind of uh, you know relationship with Korra, and it's like maybe Jem does hate ISOs. Aren't there like conflicting sources of whether Zeus is an ISO?
I don't think I heard some theories about that, but I want to say
Yeah, I thought it's like there is like some
the movie
throwaway
leaves it
thing.
completely blank. You can
Okay,
fill in
yeah.
whatever.
But
I
like whether
haven't
or not
seen the
he,
comics or whatever that maybe like hint towards one way or the
yeah,
other.
I mean I don't 100% remember where I'm getting at. But I
But I do
thought there
want to
was
say,
something
I do want to
out
bring
there.
it back to like one thing. Like I don't know if you guys seen this, but like there's a deleted scene from the original where Tron and Yuri and they kind of reunite. They have a bit of a love scene where as you notice in the movie, Kevin Flynn can like take like the energy of like people he's killed or
Mhm.
programs he's killed. But like so like
Like Mega
them they
Man.
exactly.
Mhm.
But like so Yori and Tron they kind of hug a bit, and she's wearing like a muumuu or
Mhm.
something, and like their energy starts circulating between them.
Aw,
And so like
They should have kept that.
I did they should have kept that because it's so
yeah.
weird. It's so unique. And again, it's like
It's
you
basically their version of the braids of
I was
exactly
gonna,
Avatar.
yeah.
the Avatar braids exactly.
But
It's kind of just like swapping fluids, like
We're exchanging energy too. I mean, we're not that different.
yeah,
that's biodigital jazz if I've ever heard about it.
Hey,
Bio digital jazz, man.
that's what they
We,
put
we,
on.
we got to talk about Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Because like we brought up Star Wars already, right?
Yeah.
And like the Tron series is if like they turned Han Solo into Luke Skywalker as
Slowly,
it went
man.
along. It's
Right,
ridiculous.
because he's a nerd, but he's like not. He's a hot like action guy, but you were
He's
supposed to
so
be like,
crazy
yeah,
hot.
he's also
He's
a
a
brilliant
roguish.
programmer.
Well, but
He's a
also like
roguish.
the first movie like Tron is the hero, I feel, right? Like Jeff
Yeah.
Bridges is more like our perspective character who shows us this world and does contribute quite a lot, obviously, right? But
Yeah.
the thing is that like it's more about Tron's experience in trying to improve the cyberspace for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And that's almost incidental to what Jeff Bridges is looking to do in the human world, right? But to say that is to also point to the fact that Jeff Bridges is delivering a fantastic performance
Yes.
that just like steals the entire movie every time he's on screen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I guess Tron. He's mentioned in the real world, like in the first 15 minutes and all that. But you're right. Like all that stuff is periphery to Jeff Bridges, and I think that's part like his arc as well. Like he was thinking about all this other stuff, but now he's in it. It becomes real. Ram's death. Ram's death. And all of that.
Yeah.
Like now
on the
he
other
has
side of the
personal
screen.
stakes. Exactly.
all
Because
Please.
it's seeing in type like a computer program being deleted, that doesn't mean as much as like to be there on the ground, see it happen, be like these things are alive. They they are experiencing life.
Yeah, and so like while Tron is like kind of a secondary hero, even though he has the main kind of heroic motivation, I think that does play into that we're like that's why at the end, like he sacrificed himself to give Tron the shot because Tron is the
Mhm.
one with the motivation that has the ability, the skill, and he's just kind of there to help that along. Tron is the Ben-Hur, Flynn is the Jesus.
I really got to see Ben-Hur.
Oh yeah, it's great.
There's a reason why it's called the subtitle is like a story of the Christ, and Christ only shows up for like 3 pages.
It's
But
a solid movie though.
it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
I also do think it is
Time
kind
for the
of just
remake,
like
right?
a
Oh yeah, I'm a big Morgan Freeman fan,
Yeah.
so like I got to stand for that one. For
I've not seen the remake.
there's two Ben's her.
The guy who plays the half-faced assassin in Boardwalk Empire is Ben-Hur in the remake.
Yeah.
Oh my god! If only it were Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
They got the wrong Boardwalk Empire person.
Exactly.
Oh,
But,
dude, Michael Shannon in a Tron movie would be so cool. Not as
Can
like a
you-
lead, but like
He was
He-
the
he was-
Rinsler.
He was meant
Oh.
to yell on the grid, like
Yeah,
you know
like-
what I mean.
he would be such a good like Clue henchman or like warlord who like challenges Clue or something.
Yeah, just have him do Zod, but in Tron.
Yeah.
You know, like his Zod performance. Just do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, just
I
erase
will
the
find
Zod
him.
performance in general and put it somewhere else.
I will Tron him.
I will derez him.
So, can we just talk about the resing is like a great idiom, you know?
Oh, totally.
It's bring it back. Like these TikTok kids now saying unalive and that bullshit. Like that. They need to be talking about derezing. There was just a mass derezing event. You guys.
I'm just
No, what-
imagining
maybe-
like
maybe all
celeb
the-
drama.
Maybe all the programs are squeakcore now too. Like all the TikTok programs are just like he DR'd himself.
Yeah.
See, that's the Aries is cowardly because it doesn't even want to touch like internet culture or like explore what
I don't
that
know
means.
if I want Aries near like any like very.
Oh, you're talking? Yeah, Jared Leto should. He can't go legally. He can't go near them.
Yeah.
So.
There's a subpoena.
There's a firewall. I can't get through.
But
I can't get within 20 feet of this school server.
So I was surprised that they had even that. I noticed that they would say like the resolution, but the resing, like they even say in the original, and like that kind of feels like something that they would have done in Legacy to make the resolution sound cool and hip. But no, they still say it there too. It's like that's
so
cool.
Good. Oh.
It is. It's instantly classic terminology there,
Yeah.
like the Force. Like
revisiting Tron 1, I actually didn't realize they repeat the line when they're giving like Sam and when they're also giving like Kevin the discs. Like you're like, if you lose your disc or like those same, lose your disc or fail to follow orders, you will be subject to immediate deresolution. Like,
everything you learn and experience on the grid will be copied to your disc. The same exact dialogue. It's cool. That's cool. No.
Yeah.
When you like revisit Tron after watching Tron Legacy specifically, right? I feel as though there are many pieces that are connected to where like you think about Tron Legacy or like you really have to be in the weeds of Tron to really fully appreciate this film. Mm-hmm. And I'm always interested when I see people who are like Tron Legacy is the best, and I'm like, it's pulling a lot from the original and like it's building on its ideas, sure, but it like the vocabulary is formed here and the vocabulary is also better executed, and I mean that in the literal sense, the way that it's delivered, the way that it's intellectualized within the time period, right? Like it even has like an informal 80s slang feel to it, right?
Yeah.
And I really like that it has that kind of energy to it.
I was so charmed in Tron 1 when they have on-screen text that just goes, meanwhile, in the real world.
Right. That's so good.
My God. When was the last time you've seen meanwhile on screen in text?
It makes it feel like I'm watching a comic book in a good way.
But it's so funny because it happens after 2 scenes.
Yeah.
Where you get in the real world and you've been in the digital world already.
Yeah. But it's like, to me, like I almost kind of took that as like, this is so new to the audience. Like, I wonder if the writers felt the need to put that.
Yeah.
Like, where are they? Like,
I think about that all the time. I think about that all the time. That idea of like how back then, like to like now, selling us on going inside a computer. Like there's other franchises that have done that, like The Matrix and stuff. Yeah, because of this movie, there's a shorthand, but then someone has to establish that shorthand or build the steps for it.
I could see somebody back then just be, not to be like, oh, like everybody in the past is stupid, but it's like I could just see someone being like, well, like where did they go? And it's like, they went in there, man.
I was gonna say, like, imagine being like the person from the time period who's just watching like a sequence that takes place entirely in a blue world, and then they see Jeff Bridges is in an office, and they're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Are they like? I'm just trying to imagine that person.
Guy. What are you doing?
It does show up like it's so fantastical. It could just be like a different planet or like a different universe, But like
that's why the digitizing laser effect is so perfect, because I think it visually I mean, again, we have modern era brains, but I'm sure that does along that and the sound design, everything else is working towards like conveying to you like, no, he's being transported into the computer right now, and you see it happening like it's like bit by bit. The effect is we don't really get that at pixel by pixel. I mean, and we don't really get that in any of the other like I kind of missed that. Yeah, in Legacy when he goes to the grid, I mean, it's a cool transition of like he goes outside. It's like the grid version of Flynn's arcade, but like the actual like digitizing itself, it's just like transitions from you see the laser fire up and then you're in.
To me, that's actually like for me the biggest like visual slam dunk for Ares is the 3D printing. I think that is just like, it's probably like the last time, I guess, that like a new piece of technology like captured the public's imagination in like a non-awful shit AI way. Where it's like, I feel like to me, like that is a good visualizer of like coming out of this and like bursting out of like the plastic like pile and everything. I don't know.
like
I could
that.
honestly watch that all day.
I like that, and I'm glad that if anything, that's like the one thing that was like they had
Yeah.
made this like when it was meant to be made, like 2 years after Tron Legacy.
It
So
would have just been lasers.
yeah, it would have been just lasers again. So I do like that this exists now.
Yeah, fortuitous.
And I think that it works with the Dillinger model stuff because, like, you know, the Encom stuff, the laser creates life, right?
Yeah.
And then like 3D printing is a lot more industrial, a lot more, you know, a lot more kind of
Yeah,
cool
I love the industrial
and,
vibe to it.
and technical. Again, my issue is like doesn't really play with it that much. And also, how the fuck does Dillinger get into the grid at the end of Ares if it's a 3D printer? Whatever.
Because we'll get to it because it's like the implications of that technology. I start going spinning of like when you start thinking about like. I go into those rabbit. I go into that rabbit hole whenever I think about the fabricator in Star Trek. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
explain this to me.
It's like a throwaway keystroke. Was like reverse polarity. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
whatever. I don't really care.
Does he even know how it works? Who knows? Who knows?
I found it really cool. I liked the portable laser in Ares too. Like I was like, ooh.
I like the laser. I like separate from any of the movies. I'm not trying to transition to Ares talk, but I'm saying I just like when there's laser stuff in these movies.
I'll kind of relate it to like Ares only briefly to get to something else in Tron. Like the thing I hate about Ares' use of the laser is the fact that it's separated from Flynn's Arcade, which Flynn's Arcade is an amazing place to have both in Tron and Tron Legacy. I think it's a great way to kind of keep it centered there. And what I don't like about it in Tron Ares is that it feels like it's like relegated to this like kind of weird museum that just kind of has all these curios laying around. And I'm just like, I hate this.
It looks like a part of. It looks like a part of an office that because it is an office in Ares. Like it doesn't feel like a. Like there is something grounding about the arcade just for Kevin Flynn as a character of like, yeah, okay, well, he might have some money from being a hotshot programmer guy, but you know, he's just a man of the people also.
And like him owning that arcade after being ousted out of this company, it feels like a massive midlife crisis. And I love how like alive the arcade is when we first introduced to it. It's probably some of
people love going to see him play the game that he made in the arcade.
It feels a lot like that movie, The Wizard, like the Nintendo film, right? And I just love how like cheesy and earnest the whole movie is, but just like the way it's delivering that and Jeff Bridges' like desire to be like the best in quotations no matter where he is, that's what I really appreciate, at least about the way that Flynn's Arcade is presented.
I think the real world stuff looks good. Like maybe I'm just because like a lot of movies now don't look good, so then watching any older movie with like any kind of decent light, I'm like, wow, this looks incredible.
I don't know, the stuff in Hiller's office is pretty tough. Okay. And
I still found it just like better looking than most. Like it didn't look like when I heard this was using the volume, I was like, oh no, like it's gonna look like the fucking Mandalorian. And like I was pretty happy.
Ares, like it doesn't look like Mandalorian's a low bar, so it doesn't look like Mandalorian.
We're gonna get to Ares and how awful and ugly it is, but we're talking about Tron, the first one.
Beautiful movie.
I love the way that the whole human stuff takes place at nighttime, so it matches the look of Tron, right? And there we get all of those like exterior shots of LA. I think they shot it in, and it looks like circuitry, right? Like it's a very simple thing. Oh my god!
Which hacks took that idea, or hackers, right? Like of having like the city be like circuitry of like we'll just use that imagery.
Even
it's not like too flashy in this. Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, even like I hoot and holler every time that big matte painting of the sea of cubicles in the night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which then gets like the visual like poetry with like the server farm in Legacy, and then they do it again in Ares. But like that matte painting for the sea of cubicles, like you are all little programs in your own little areas.
I mean,
Like,
it's parallel to like how they're shut off between
Mhm.
each other
Mhm.
in like in the cells. You
Yeah.
know, and
It's also like a visual reference to the Billy Wilder film, The Apartment. Like it feels exactly like that kind
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I gotta check that out.
headspace.
but also like that's all, but the guide Bruce Boxleitner's Alan's cubicle neighbor is Ram's human
Oh,
user, right? And so
re-res RAM.
yeah, Ram's human user, yes. And so
The
like
goat.
they're also neighbors in their cells, coincidentally. So that's fun. It's nice
They're
poetry.
buds.
Nice poetry.
Oh, I miss Ram.
Ram's the best character.
Ram is so good. Ram is
Him
like,
dying really got to me in this recent rewatching. I was like, oh no!
like he
I
just,
love it when
I
they
need
go
to
to the
pause
water.
and like walk around my
Yeah.
house for a little bit. I was like,
and like
I need a minute.
Tron is so happy when he sees Flynn at the end. Like, Flynn, you made it. Where's the Ram? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I have some bad news.
like, he's so happy. Like,
You
Gotta
guys
sit
know,
down.
That hang on, what's his name? I want to say Pauly Short, but Pauly Short.
Dan Short.
There we go.
Close enough.
His grandma like organized like a little like letter writing campaign called Re-Res Ram.
Ah.
Like wrote to the studio, was like, bring him back.
Well,
I-
in
listen to her.
universe, why does death need to be permanent, right? Because they're programmed, so you
Yeah.
get, there's
Yeah.
copies, and like you're like,
Well, it's
okay,
like you-
well, the soul can't be transferred from version to version, or can it? I don't know, like because we're just a collection of memories and stuff. So if the new version has those memories, like, isn't it just you still?
That was kind of what I would say is also like another interesting thing for Ares is like he and Athena are both extremely traumatized and tired from being killed over and over. Because like
Wow.
they make it.
That's
they,
probably the best effect for me is the like when they like
yeah.
fall apart in
like
the real
genuinely
world.
like
It looks
unpleasant to look at.
painful.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like I wasn't like you see him like in the trailers that he was like screaming when he died, but I always kind of thought it was because he got like shot or something. But like
No, it
just
just
when he's
hurts.
talking to like Gillian Anderson's character, just like decaying, I was like, oh geez, like I'm kind of like disconcerted. Like
Mhm.
And everyone
that is
has
unpleasant.
rightfully has a disgusted look when they see it. It's like,
Yeah.
ew.
a friend of mine pointed out, like, I bet that smells awful. Like it probably just like burning printer.
Does it
ink
have
or
a smell?
something.
That would be interesting.
What-
'Cause,
what
like,
No, I
material
think
did they
Soup's
use?
right. It would be like 3D printed, like
Yeah, like the
build
resin,
that
like
again.
burning resin or something.
Yeah.
oh.
They probably would be like.
Ugh.
But also, what does it mean to be alive then? Like, are they when he gets the permanent skill? He's just like, is he functionally immortal because he's plastic?
But
Well, he's no, he's
I want to
bleeding.
get there when we get there.
All right, good,
'Cause
good,
I-
good,
so
good, good.
there's a million questions
I think
there.
I keep accidentally shifting
Yeah.
us to Ares.
But that's
I'm
why I want to
like,
get out of the way first. Anyway,
Mhm.
let's go on with Tron. It gets really biblical at the end. It gets really biblical
Yeah.
because Tron has when he finds out that Flynn is basically Jesus,
But
He's
that
like-
there is no plan.
yeah. He's like, he says like, I'm just doing what I think should be doing. We're gonna see if it works. Like, yeah, that's how it is for programs, but you're a user, right?
Oh.
And like, oh, well, sorry to make you. What if you met God and he was just some guy, some guy who's just your buddy?
Yeah. What if you met God and his name was Kevin?
Yeah.
I like the
The,
idea
the,
that
the,
it's
the
like-
little Wachowskis watching this, and they shoot each other a look and they just nod silently, like, well,
Well,
30
that-
years, check back in.
Like
I
we
like-
would not have the Matrix without Tron. Like
Absolutely.
Tony, what are you saying?
I was just saying that like it's not specifically that it's Kevin Flynn. It's just that he is an organic human on the grid that's able to do this, and it's something that's echoed throughout other films, of course. But it's like the idea that just the presence of the in quotations creator in their space, right? It adds that biblical layer that Elvis you were just talking about, right?
Mhm.
It gives this like you can really buy into the world of the programs and really see how this is just this gargantuan, bigger than them experience, right? But to us, we can just kind of put the controller down and walk away. There's a really it's a nice way of peering into the microscope, but then it also has this grandeur to it that really like instills a question within the way you see the world, even,
Yeah.
I think it's really cute. It's not super deep, but it's cute,
Yeah.
But it's deeper than you would expect, which is essentially a children's movie, like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
Disney franchise to be, and that's why we made the Toy Story comparison earlier. I think this is like I mean, of course, you maybe don't even get Toy Story in a way in terms of at least the computer
Oh no!
graphic.
Well, actually, speaking of the devil here, John Lasseter was like, when we saw that Tron could like make all these ships, we kind of inspired to like actually push like how far we could make like something fully digital in terms of. So yeah, no, we wouldn't have put Toy Story without it.
But in Toy Story, like the humans, the children are the gods to the toys. Like, so it's even like borrowing that dynamic. Although we never get the what a Toy Story movie needs to do is have a kid become a laser, shoots at a kid, and then he becomes a toy. Like you need to be able to see how the other side lives, right? Like humans are completely oblivious to like the relationship. It's purely one way.
What Tron needs is to show different operating systems interacting with one another. Like imagine if like because this is obviously like Intel area, like early like not even Intel, Microsoft. Like I would love to see like Tron of Microsoft meet the Tron of Apple. Like that's what we're really missing with this early stuff.
Yeah, I would be. It's not going to happen. But like, I would be really interested to see like how Korra might react to Ares, because he's from a different grid. He's not an ISO. He's basically a basic. And it's like I wonder what the dynamic between the two of them is.
I just don't want Olivia Wilde near Jared Leto.
No.
I feel like
for safety concerns.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, with modern technology, they don't have to be. No one needs to be near Jared Leto. I mean, you could just not cast him, but also just put him in front of the volume.
No, it's just gonna be like a computer with like a really crappy Skype call. Like they want you to know that he was not anywhere, even close.
This is an old photo. We got it from Instagram. Okay. All right. But no, even more than that. I was like really into like biblical stories at the time when I first watched this. I was reading like Book of the Saints and like the Acts of the Apostles. I was reading this on my free time. I was really into it. Like one of my.
I like those sword and sandal epics. I mean, some of it, was maybe indoctrination as a kid, being those Bible stories over and over again. But they were cinematic in a way. Like
David and Goliath.
Yeah,
that's even paralleled here.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah, like biblical epics used to be a fertile film ground.
I mean, besides westerns, like that was like the biggest genre in terms of like their tentpole blockbusters. Like let's bring those back.
It just makes logical sense for Tron, right? Because it's in this period in the late 70s, early 80s, where Disney is going through this like major identity crisis. They don't know like what a blockbuster for them looks like. They don't know what an animated film really looks like for them at that point. It's a really strange in-between period. And that's what kind of makes Tron interesting, is that even though it's like clearly a part of a larger corporate umbrella, it does have a lot of expression. It does have a lot of creativity.
It has an identity of its own.
Yeah. And it also feels like it's an extension of like, if we're going to talk about like the Disney theme parks, I feel like this is like from the world of tomorrow, this is an extension of like what even like Walt Disney would have, wanted to see in a movie.
He was about embracing the technology of the future, and what better way than to like, okay, we're going to take audiences inside a computer now.
It's pure imagination. Yeah, like that's the thing. Walt Disney was all about, what the power, corporate Walt Disney was all about, the power of imagination. Like, how do we put that into action? What does that mean for the human experience, for human ingenuity, human creativity, the human spirit, passion and put into projects? Like you see that whenever like they try to go back to these kind of things, they always bring that forward. You see it in stuff like Dumbo, the remake, the Dumbo remake, or Meet the Robinsons. All these are about like, okay, how do we keep pushing forward, and what is how do we get there? Tomorrowland tried that, as well, less successfully, this definitely falls within that wheel frame, especially not even just on like a thematic level with like how the programs are like a part of humankind. They're born from, the ingenuity, the enterprising spirit that we put into like all projects. But also like
right, because anything you make, you do put part of yourself into it. Exactly. So like it is kind of a perfect visual representation, even if it is initially, like I was confused the very first time I watched this. I was like, so okay, that's not the same. That's not Kevin. I'm seeing Clue right now. Like, but
I love
thankfully,
Clue 1.
yeah,
Clue one's
thankfully, Clue one dies, so we don't have to like. You're like, okay, it's just only one guy at a time. I gotta wrap my mind around this.
And the only guy that talks like that too. I'm putting on a robot voice. Like, okay. I mean,
Let me
that's
at
the
'em.
only, he was just the guy, the only guy that talks like that, just like Yoda.
Yeah, like on from their POV, the programs, shouldn't there just be like a big error thing flashing in front whenever they look at Kevin? It's like, what the fuck am I looking at right now?
It's like Gary's mod, right? When somebody else has a mod that you don't have downloaded, so it's just the error sign walking around.
It's Aries mod.
I mean, that's kind of what happens
Oh,
in Legacy,
boo-boo-booey.
right? Whenever they try to scan him, it comes out unknown.
That's a really one thing I didn't catch the first time that I watched it, and I really liked the second time, is when Rom and Kevin and Tron are like drinking the like water and like feeling themselves and getting charged up. Like Tron, like
That's also mythical.
no, well, it's like he literally goes like, I feel something. Alan won. And it's like he is like getting a message from the divine thanks to
It's
like
so
them
wonderful.
drinking up this like spring.
I
It's
love
so-
that.
Yeah,
love-
and it's like you don't see that happen in any of the other movies, like this idea of like being called by your user.
But no, it's even more perfect than that, because I love when they actually talk to Alan. That's 100% not what's happening. Like when he's in this port,
Mhm.
like you hear I know Alan one saying, "You do this, Tron, and save the grid."
Yep.
And all of that. That's not what Alvin's fucking doing. He's putting like for like install patch 1.0 enter. But you're hearing like the spiritual connection between
Yeah.
them.
Right.
Because
What I love.
funny thing
sorry.
is, sorry, like Alan never finds out about the programs, right? Like
That Tron's alive.
like he doesn't know that Tron is a guy. Like he's just,
Yeah, like does Kevin because if based on what we know happens in Legacy, he goes back into the grid and just hangs out there most of the time anyway. Like does he just doesn't tell anyone, like even
That's what
Alan,
my
like
sense was like
But
he
you-
literally never tells anybody that these are little guys.
But you were saying
He gets lost. He gets lost within his own imagination there, which is interesting. But the what I was going to say about what I like about that whole like drinking from the spring scene is that Tron 1 has so much more downtime. Like it's still like a rush to get out of there, but I feel like each of the subsequent films try to accelerate the pacing so much to where there's not a lot of moments in those future films to kind of stop and smell the roses.
yeah.
And
it
those are the moments
streamlines
that-
it and makes it
Yeah.
plottier in a way where it's like, no, this is like a good adventure game where you're just like, yeah, I do have a mission that's like my main goal quest, but like I can stop here for a little bit. Like we got time.
When you play a video game, right? Like, what are the best moments? They're the moments that are unscripted that you experience on your own, right? And I feel like the first Tron actually captures that feeling at points.
Yeah, it's more of an epic. It's more of an odyssey. You're going on a journey. It is.
The destination's not important. Like does matter, but it's not the main thing.
It's a fantasy movie in that way. You're with your buddies. You're with your team. You're on this journey. You're crossing all these planes. You're going over all these obstacles. It's like Keen Planet of the Apes. A couple years ago had that tone. It is a long journey, and people had like, oh, well, a lot of things don't happen, but being in that world, going on this trek is the experience. And I think the first one definitely does take its time there. People call it boring, but like I don't know, I feel like this makes it feel like you're going along for a journey that's worth it.
A lot of my not being super into Tron 1 the first time around was like I hadn't watched kind of a lot of older movies that like didn't have
you have the kid attention span.
I and it's a lot of that is just kind of you got to get yourself into that frame for it, and it's like a muscle that you sort of like. These days, I don't find myself bored with slow movies, even when they're bad. I'll just be like, whatever.
I bounced off 2001 the first time I saw it because I just like the pacing. I was like, what am I watching right now?
But to go off your point, Soup, right? Like the nice thing about Tron is while it's slow, it's also the shortest movie of the franchise.
That's insane.
right? Like
It's so
it
efficient
allows
in some ways.
Yeah,
that exactly my point. Exactly. Like it takes
there's
the
room
time
to
to do
dig
those
around.
things, and it doesn't feel like it's rushed. Like, and it
Yeah.
gives you enough information to where you can see the whole picture.
Ares is longer.
Ares is 2 hours. Tron Legacy is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Tron 1 is 95 minutes.
That is
Yeah, Ares is like
insane.
just under 2 hours.
Oh
Isn't
my
it
god!
like hour
It
50?
felt like 70 minutes, man. Nothing happened in that movie.
It's fucking ridiculous. We'll get there. We'll get there.
But yeah, no. It makes it feel like it's worth your time. Like I want to
Yeah.
watch something, and it's like I want to be transported there. I want to like to live in that world for a bit, and like that. I think that really does capture just so well, you know. And again, it's not just aspects like that, but it's also like we even like not even just the red light district, but also when Flynn crashes the recognizer, and he
Mhm.
just crashes it into like this a simple court, and all these people, all these programs just kind of talking, and they're like, oh, they got out of the way. Yeah, what are they doing? It feels like a little more lived in world,
Yeah.
which is nice. It's nice to see.
The recognizers look so cool. The design on
Oh,
this stuff it's
so
iconic for a
great.
reason.
Yeah.
They keep repeating the same designs throughout all of the series, and it's really because they kind of knocked
Nailed
it
it.
out of the
Crushed
park
it.
Yeah,
the
they got
first
it
time.
right.
And that's what I love about like the restoration, because I know people like say they need all the grain as possible, but in the restoration for Tron, the first one, Tron 1, they removed as much grain as possible for like the stuff like for the CGI elements, like the recognizers, and like they fly off the screen. In my opinion, at that point, like, oof, like God damn it, it feels like such a distinct difference. Although it's not too different, like this, it creates that distinction between like what's practical, what's real. The actors themselves, like it all comes together. It's like this great kind of like visual mosaic now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Visual mosaic is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, especially because that's how they did it. Because they did a lot of compositing. They had this whole
Right.
idea with like the backlighting. Like they didn't color in like the light. They set the cells, individual cells behind the light, to captures of that, and then assemble them together. And I'm surprised it comes off as seamless as it does, because like Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know like the actual way they animate, because I mean, not that I taking a couple animation classes like really teach you all and stuff, but at least I understand like the pipeline or kind of idea behind how it's done now. But like so they were rendering this stuff and wouldn't see what it actually looked like. Like they're just putting in code basically, and
Yeah.
until it's on film for like to screen. Like
Yeah.
they're not. It's not like now where you're like you can in Blender, like okay, I made this little guy. Let me see how he moves. And no, they did not see that until it was actually a film thing for them to watch. So like, how fucking hard is that? That's like crazy.
One of the guys in the making of documentary is like saying like we'd be just punching in like, okay, X, Y, and Z axes for an entire day, and this is meant to be like one recognizer is flying across, but we're not going to even be sure if that could be in the frame. We're punching in the axes and all that kind of stuff the entire day, and hopefully it works out. So like it's been like really nerve-wracking a little bit.
It's a miracle that this is like even a coherent movie, right? Like the fact that this works at all.
That's why it's a rickety movie, right? It feels like it could fall apart at any moment. And I even like we'll say that about the score, right? Like I feel like the score is so like cacophonous almost. It's like a wall of sound that's just hitting you at all points, right? But somehow through all of it, it kind of just melds together and you're able to just get on its wavelength. I feel like it's a really like, even if its understanding of tech is not smart, it fictionalizes it in a way to where you can accept it. Like the fact that like you even see like the enemies, they're like looking on the screen at one point and you literally see like Pac-Man on the screen. Like I just love shit like that. Like it just works in this context.
It's such a playful movie. Like the score, and like there's a lot of goofy little flourishes in the Wendy Carlos score that aren't really in the other two that are like much more serious. Like the little Pac-Man, like these days that would be like 50 million like lawyer moments for them to be like, oh, like we can mention the Pac-Man brand, on a monitor. And it's like back then it would just be like, LOL, Pac-Man is video game, we'll put him in the video game movie.
Pac-Man was pretty much like the video game, right? Like someone's idea of a video game was just Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, let's see. What I also think is really funny is that, we don't get like a denouement for like, and this is a running thing. We don't really get denouement on most of the things in the first one, and that's a running problem, I'll say, with the series, is that when they end, they just end. Like we got to the finish line. Think about it. Think amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves.
The ending of Tron 1 is really funny. It's just like, and then
it's awesome.
Don't waste our time. Movie's over. Get the fuck out of here.
You don't even get the sense that Kevin cares about the people in the computer after that. Like,
why should he? They live in their own universe, and now he's able to return to his own universe.
And
I
hope that doesn't happen to me again.
But his whole arc is that he finds the zest for life again, right?
Yeah.
Like the problem with what he was doing before was that he was just kind of writing himself off. He was like, oh, whatever, I'll just run this arcade and I'll be happy, right? But it was literally seeing how every moment for these programs was life or death was what shook him out of that stupor and allowed for him to apply himself again and to finally fight back against the system. And then also, like, it's fun to just see him be like, hey guys, I'm your boss now. Like out of all the movies, I have the least amount of questions when this one ends, because I'm like, he will ride off into the sunset, fuck billionaires, fuck millionaires, but you know what, Kevin's all right.
Well, it's like that back, like this movie wasn't really supposed to have a sequel. That's the end of Tron. Like,
it's a completely enclosed story. That's why I find really weird. And we'll get into more later. But...
I mean, that's like all these 80s franchises, right? Yeah. Like they became successful, so they had to do more, but they were usually self-contained, complete stories.
Yeah, that's why I always find it annoying, and we'll get into more a little bit later. But there's a subset of Tron fans like, if you don't do this, they're not going to make any more Tron stuff. Like, well, you can argue that they shouldn't have made more.
Maybe it's time for the Jedi to end.
Exactly.
Well, Elvis, you're getting at a great point there, right? Because like the problem with modern audiences is they're very entitled, right? The studios are.
I'm owed
Disney,
another Tron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're used to the studios wringing the towel as much as they can to get so much moisture out of like whatever's left from this dry towel, right? And like the problem is that it's like, that's not a way to tell a satisfying story. And we'll get to it when we get to it. But like the Tron Ares fans who are saying that now as they get a subpar film, you're not actually fighting for a franchise at that point. You're fighting for your right to consume. And that's the problem with that.
That's what Ghostbusters fandom, a lot of fandoms have become that, where it's like, no, we just have to, it doesn't matter how good it is. Just go see it. Cause it's like you're in a hostage situation. Like, I swear to God, if you don't go see this, your family's going to be dead.
I mean, do you want Tron series to continue forever? Like, what's the point of that?
Yes. So my kids and my kids' kids.
Yes, the movies will still exist. Like, you know that if this doesn't succeed, they're not going to do another Tron ever. Like, okay, but the first two movies exist. I love those movies. I'll keep watching them.
Why would you want your favorite series to just become the monoculture, right? Isn't the fact that it's your favorite series supposed to mean some kind of like self-expression, right? If you were trying to impose your self-expression onto other people and to say, this has to be the monoculture, this has to be the thing that everyone's obsessed with, that's a selfish impulse, but in a weirdly different direction, to where you're just kind of craving a universe where everyone just agrees on the same thing over and over again. And it's pointless. It's pointless. Why would you want Tron to feel
like
that
don't
way?
Most Simpsons fans agree? Like, you guys could wrap that up, like, around
precisely.
I hope we learned that lesson before our 30th Tron movie in year 9000.
Yeah, like I you know what? If this is it, I'm perfectly fine with that. I two movies I really like. There's a cartoon that I probably will see in the future someday.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
like games, there's spin there's so many things you can sink your time into, or just replay the things that already exist, and or you make things that have that vibe. Like
Yeah.
that's the best, like kind of like continue, like when something's like a spiritual successor, you're like, I can tell that this is like really they're wanting to make a movie of this, but they made it their own thing, and like so those are fun. Like even if there aren't always, some of those aren't the best movies, but like I'd prefer that than a regurgitated like actual like branded sequel
Yeah,
of the
like
thing.
it's bittersweet, like having to realize that with yourself too.
yeah,
Like a lot of that is kind of like an adolescent, you know, development
yeah,
that
urge.
in theory we should be going through, but like culture has been structured so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're encouraged to not
Totally.
have that
Yeah.
revelation.
Yeah, I mean,
It's what's interesting about analyzing the Tron series specifically, because the films start to reflect the money wringing worldview that the studios have more and more blatantly, and it is what ruins the franchise as it continues.
I'll say that it happened more recently than others. But did anyone have any other thoughts on the first one before we're on to Legacy? I feel like that's a pretty good transition to Legacy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
ready to talk legacy.
All right,
Let's do it.
So Legacy 2010's Tron Legacy, the also known as just Tron or TR2N as the original concept trailer. Man, when that trailer came out, that was like that's what actually kind
Oh,
of
that's the first thing I ever saw.
Exactly.
Actually.
of
Yeah,
Tron.
it was on. It was where it belongs, on the TV at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I always
because-
remember it's just a game.
You just and not anymore.
Not anymore.
Because Kaczynski had not made any movies, right? Like this was
No, it's pretty video.
He was a visual effects guy at this point.
yeah.
And so I love that trailer, and that's like I think that's what actually got me off my ass. Like I gotta watch the original, I watched the original Tron because this looks cool as hell, and I did, and I fell in love with it. But yeah, that was 2009. They made the movie, came out in 2010, and Tron Legacy is
I didn't realize Kaczynski also did the Gears of War Mad World ad. It's a good commercial.
good pull.
Yeah, that's
Probably the best thing he's ever made.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna say it. I love Tron Legacy. I do think that there
Yeah.
are things that we discussed already where it does pull back and regress a little bit from the original, but I love basically all the things that it
Still
kind of
love it. Yeah.
does. I love all the aspects of it. I love that it continues that really strange focus on spiritualism, on religion, like in even more blunt manner. And the first one was already blunt, and this is like even blunter times two.
Oh, like okay, put Jeff Bridges in some robes. He's glowing. He's Jesus. Like you didn't get it.
He's God now. And we're gonna keep calling Sam the son of our creator. Like okay. And then we're gonna just adapt wholesale Paradise Lost. Like this is like insanity. I love it. Again, it goes for bold swings that are of a kin, but not as bold as the original. And I love that it keeps that spirit. I love that it's an ambitious debut project like the first one was. It has a distinct vision to it. We've discussed that the first one is a lot more stronger, more cohesive, a lot more full. But I love this one. But let's go around the table and hear our thoughts. Soup. What's your take on this?
So yeah, saw in Best Buy the original thing. I think completely was at a loss at like what even Tron was. Like I was like, is this like a Disney's like a THX ad type thing?
THX is like a fantastic comparison, honestly.
We probably wouldn't have like THX, I bet, without Tron. It's kind of just like a before and after Tron, thing, life. But yeah, so checked that out after, appreciating, but maybe not really vibing with the first one the first time around, and absolutely crushed by how much I like it. It kind of just gets better every time I watch it. Just in like Clue, such a ridiculously interesting villain for Disney. Like I would almost say like slightly by accident, but like not too much. Like it's like this is still like a bit of a midwit Disney, trying to feel around and get its new sci-fi franchise thing. Maybe sanding off some of those stranger parts from Tron 1, but and it's impossible to do that completely. I would even still say, so good. I'm just gonna like just list things that I like in Legacy. So it is the bomb.
All right, how about you, Tony? Let's hear it. Let's hear the hot take here.
Do not frame it that way. You know,
Sharpening my blade.
man.
Sharpening my identity disc.
Bury him.
He rezzed.
Oh, you want to
no.
the sound design for the identity disc in Legacy, just
Oh
that
my
like the like sparking. Oh, God. Sorry. Just,
Go ahead.
No. That's great. What I will say, you know, returning to Tron Legacy is that the first 45 minutes are solid. It is a very good blockbuster from this era, but this movie really falls apart as it goes on. And I think that while it has some great ideas, it has a fantastic lead performance from Jeff Bridges. Is honestly one of the best performances of his career. And also Olivia Wilde is on fire in this film.
You want to talk about big eyes? Like
yeah, call Tim Burton, you know, like we got something going on here, you know. But what I will say is that this movie is absolutely carried by its soundtrack. The score in this movie is one of the best of all time, and I'm not saying that with hyperbole. I want to crack into that's just almost separately when we get there, but like I feel as though this film is often carried by that, as well as the reference points that it's drawing from of the blockbusters within that era. It is an enjoyable enough time. I'm not going to say this is a bad movie. I'm not going to, you know, have some kind of hot take where I'm like, oh, no one should watch this movie. You know, that's not my place here in that sense. You know, what I will say is that it's just kind of a sloppy movie with a lot to love. And while I love those individual elements, I find that the fact that the rest of it doesn't come together ultimately just kind of makes me more and more depressed. And I was saying this off mic. I just don't like Kaczynski as a director. I just think that he's kind of a bad filmmaker. And I mean that for literally everything he's made so far. That's maybe a personal bias. And
Not even Oblivion, huh?
I will say Tron Legacy is his best film, and Oblivion is just a steaming pile of a mess. You know,
how dare you?
I'm sorry. Hey, he originated the volume technically with that movie. I will say that. You know, but
okay, well, just because he did war crimes, that doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
I will say that Tron Legacy is a great vibes movie. Like you could put it on and you could really vibe with it. You know, let's say you smoke on the weed and you just kind of totally, you know, Tron Legacy is a great example of that. But as a complete narrative, as something that's supposed to, like, you know, in quotations, make me dream, you know, what are the possibilities of filmmaking? Tron Legacy is kind of just derivative, and that's where I brace with it. But I appreciate that people have glommed onto it as much as they have, because they could glom onto much worse.
Well, I totally respect that. And you know, as I mentioned, I don't know, talking through it, especially with you guys right now, I wish there were parts that were more substantive, but I think that yes, there is a lot of vibes to it, especially, you know, visuals and the score and the soundscape of it. Those are all like really, really immersive. I know I just love the interplay and the characters. I love Jeff Bridges, you know, as you mentioned, fantastic performance. I love all the depth that he brings, all the gravitas and stuff. But we'll get into that in just a moment. So, Doug, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, this movie became like basically a huge chunk of my personality when it came out. I got way big into that, and then you know, went backwards, and then became more of a fan of the first. I'd already seen the first one, but I didn't really click with me until after Legacy. I just, you know, we've talked about that this is a vibe franchise. This is a vibe movie. I just like going inside a computer and hanging out. And this one, Legacy gives you we're not cutting back to the real world after once he's zapped in there. We're in the grid, baby. So that's probably like why I love it so much. It's like what Matrix Reloaded's like my favorite Matrix movie, because you get more uninterrupted minutes in the Matrix in that than other one. Yeah, so
that's a respectable opinion.
I just want to spend time inside a computer hanging out with programs, and Legacy lets you do that even if it has less like actual hangout beats than the first one, it still gestures enough at the larger thing. Like there's just something very tactile to this world, and I'm not gonna say Kaczynski's like one of my favorite guys. I just think he's like very competent, and this movie actually benefits from like there might be other movies where you told me like, yeah, this is actually made by an architect, and I may roll my eyes, but like Tron actually it adds to like a continuity and a tactileness to the world that the grid kind of did. There's like a magic that I love, like being existing on the grid in the first one, but also there is a kind of a lack of just by virtue of like how it's made and the animation that you can't really have that consistency of like where it really fully does feel like one place you're in. I feel like that legacy gives me that in a way that it just like wasn't possible before.
I wanted to get this out of the way before we got too deep into the film itself, right? So I have my avatar as master computer right now, but it's not just any master computer. It's the master computer from Kingdom Hearts 2. And the reason I'm bringing up Kingdom Hearts 2 is because I feel like it almost is like the place that Tron Legacy is pulling from the most in terms of influence. And the reason I bring it up is because if anyone who's played that game, the world that never was feels more like the Tron Legacy world than the original Tron movie does, and then also in Kingdom Hearts 2, there is a Tron world in it that replicates the vibe of the first movie. So I just wanted to bring up Kingdom Hearts 2 because I think it's one of my favorite games. And the fact that Tron Legacy pulls from that era, I don't know. I like that. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that way. I just want to
Kingdom Hearts 2 is canon to Tron, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll allow it. Sora, he's there.
Wasn't I think that the Tron world inclusion in Kingdom Hearts, like, wasn't that like a weird pull? Like, I thought it was that like Tetsuya Nomura, like he's like a Megatron fan, and like Disney was almost like, you want to use Tron? Like,
yeah,
why?
no, I don't think it. I don't think it was forced on him. This wasn't like the Disney era of like, no, you have to use this and this IP in this way. I think that he just he pulled from it because he liked it.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006, right? And like that was probably like the most recent reference to Tron until Tron Legacy,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's interesting to bring that up early on, especially like if you guys have played it. Like the world that never was really does feel like Tron Legacy's world in the sense that it's this like hollowed out town. It's monochromatic. It's more organic in the way that they capture it because there are more sets. And there are physical elements to it that just weren't in the first Tron movie. Mm-hmm. And I really like how there is that blending of like these organic set places, even if I feel that they are derivative. Specifically, the Jeff Bridges like layout, hideout, where he's kind of like laying down on a pillow. Mm-hmm. They just took the hideout from The Dark Knight, where the Batcave, where he keeps all of his stuff, and they made that his locale.
I mean, I feel like every blockbuster for the like 20 years after The Dark Knight.
I never thought of it that way. I actually kind of likened it more to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep. No. Yeah. I really think
also fair.
Because like I think that's just my reasoning on that was because like in 2001: A Space Odyssey, at the end of that, the what's his name, Dave, right? Dave Bowman gets trapped somewhere, and he has his entire life is wasted away in this simulacrum of like
he ascends. That's what that is. He's ascending beyond humanity.
I know, but for the meantime, when he's cooking, the aliens have put him into like in a simulacrum of something to make him feel more comfortable. That's their version of like his habitat to them, the best that they can create. And so that's kind of like where Flynn ends up. He like ends up in this place that is just obviously on one level fake, but it's faker on top of that. He's trying to make it fit into what he believes is a normal kind of domicile. He has like in 2001 there's like chairs and tables, but they're counter set against like how bare and technical everything else is.
Like how an alien would picture a
Yeah.
normal place, which is like he's been here so long that he can't even really have conception of like what the real world was actually like.
Yeah.
Like what we see of his memories are even distorted digitally.
Destroyed, man. It's crazy. I love that. I love that effect and what that means. Like he's been here so long that everything is like overly pixelated and blown out. It's crazy. I love that.
Yeah,
It's
like
probably
at this point, is he even still? If you've been
Human.
digitized for that long, are you human?
It's probably the best thing that they incorporate from the original Tron movie, where it's like minutes and hours are completely different between both realities, right? And the fact that, like, how long has Jeff Bridges in human years been living within this grid, right? He's probably hundreds, if not thousands of years old, right? And to consider the fact that when he does see his son again, that he does not have any issues recalling the past. I feel like that's actually quite beautiful.
It is.
The father-son stuff works for me. I mean, I'm not going to say that Garrett Dillahunt is like some revelation or great actor. I think I even enjoying the movie from the get-go, I probably was initially dismissive of
I
him,
was
but
too.
I think he's good in this.
Yeah,
I think
Garrett Hedlund's kind of an underrated actor, just in general.
I liked it.
I have to see like what else is he decent in.
his small part in Inside Llewyn Davis is pretty great. Trying to think what's his other like actual best
On the
thing.
Road. You should watch On the Road.
Yeah.
Four Brothers. He's one of the titular four brothers.
Oh right, he is one of the brothers
Really?
in that.
Or Brothers.
Yep.
Wow.
I don't
Like,
remember his
here-
part in Triple Frontier, but I like
Yeah,
that
like-
movie.
You know, not exactly like a King Lear, but like I thought,
No.
like I think he fulfills the brief. Like,
I'll say, like, when I was watching it in theaters for the first time, I did he did give me pause at that time, because, and this is something that is come throughout the Tron series, is that a lot of the characters they're very blunt characters.
yeah,
They're very archetypical
it's
characters.
stock characters. Yeah,
It's not very stock, yeah. So there are multiple times in this, and I recall it when watching it for the first time, where Sam and Cora, a lot of things they say, I'm like, oh my god, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
Like they're vehicles for a lot of quotable moments. I think that's intentional at times, and it does make them feel a little bit more flat than they probably could.
it's to me, it's a funny time capsule of cool guy in the 2000, like the early 2010s.
Like we see him base jump at the
I was
beginning.
just about to say, like,
Oh,
he
man.
base jumps and he likes to be rich. And
The real world doesn't even
Dog
feel
videos.
real in the beginning,
Yeah.
which I kind of like. I
Yeah.
like that it feels like that we're already entering at a level of artificial. Like I'm like this could already just be a sophisticated grid. And I
it's
don't
just
know.
such a funny like I remember when base jumping was like the thing you had to get into, and like wingsuits. Like I'm very surprised there's no wingsuits in Tron Legacy, because that was the wingsuit heyday. Like this was when.
Well, I guess there's like the wingsuits where, like, when him and Cora jump out of the
Yeah, the
building
wing
after they get
shoots.
the identity.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the
Butterfly
closest we
wings,
get to that. But one thing I wanted to bring up with Garrett Hedlund was that he's like kind of like the fractionally less charismatic version of Austin Butler. I feel like
That's
Austin
true.
Butler is what Garrett Hedlund was trying to do.
He's fulfilling the promise of Garrett Hedlund.
Oh, dude,
Precisely,
Austin Butler
right?
would be such a good Ares.
Yeah, he would've
Like,
been a great
Oh,
Ares.
He would be amazing, right?
Insert Austin
just like
Butler
that
into
one-
blank project, and it's
yeah. Well, like there are just so many, like, because it's like you're in your head and you're imagining, oh, like this movie I'm imagining would be awesome, and that's why this is a great idea. But it's just like there are so many actors where I'm like, I would love to see them in a Tron movie. Like my girlfriend brought up, like, we both love Olivia Wilde in this, but like it's such a strange choice for her to be doing like a manic pixie dream girl.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
She's got
I
much
wanted
more
to
of,
get to
like, a
that.
dark sexuality. But like my girlfriend brought up like what's her name from Fallout.
Big Eyes.
Ella Purnell.
Ella Purnell.
Big Eyes.
She would be a great Cora with the manic pixie dream girl. Like,
Because they kind of try and justify the plot wise why she's like that. At least.
in some of the worst dialogue ever.
yep, I love this movie. That dog line is insane.
That is
It is insane.
That is, I'm shocked every time I watch it. 'Cause I love this
Every
movie,
time.
but then when I see it, like, oh my god, no one did that a second pass.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm
Well,
a
I mean,
rescue too.
these
Like, what?
these movies have very strange women moments. Like we still don't know
Oh, they're
Sam's
they're,
mother's
they're
name.
misogynistic. These movies are misogynistic.
Like we don't know Sam's mother's name. Like we don't see her.
They actually had there was an actress cast and I think scenes filmed. I don't know what the
Right.
reasoning was for
That's
reboot.
great.
I mean, I kind of do like the no shoe. Like we just gotta get this kid to the grid. You know, like we do not have time
Yeah.
for anything.
Well, it's like it's
I
kind of
want
funny.
to get back. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just wanted to get back to what we were saying about how like this movie's very quippy, right? Because you
Yeah.
would expect Ares to be the quippy one, but this one is more quippy. But then
Mhm.
also to expound upon that, right? I feel like Garrett Hedlund's character gets way more in terms of characterization over Cora, and Olivia Wilde is just knocking it out of the park. She's
Yep.
bringing much more to it than the material's giving her.
Yep.
Like the moment where
Absolutely.
she's like Jules Verne, you know, like she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like
That's
would
like
you
the best part. Yeah.
She sells
Yeah.
it. It's a terrible line, and she sells it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
It's one of her best performances of her career, and I'm kind of surprised.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, because
It's a great
crazy she's just
performance,
miscast.
horrible lines. Horrible
Yeah.
lines, great performance. Like I remember like seeing in the theaters again, and like when they're like when she saves him from the Coliseum, right?
Made
And
it.
and then and they take the ATV and they jump across the Gulf, right? And he's like, nah, like something like that. I'm
Yep,
like,
no,
oh
no,
my
yeah.
God.
She goes, made it.
Like, oh my, like I still get to my seat. Like, why am I here and not home with my family on New Year's Eve?
Her performance in this movie single-handedly killed Olivia Munn's whole shtick. You know,
That's true.
because I feel like Olivia Wilde in this movie is doing Olivia Munn better than Olivia Munn ever did Olivia Munn.
So she should have been in The Predator. I agree.
Hey, you know what? Olivia Wilde would probably be a lot more sensitive to autism in my books. You know,
Yeah, no, it's so crazy. Like, I love Cora. I really cannot like argue against any of the bad
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
No,
to
no,
it.
I
And it-
totally
That's
agree.
the poorly
Yeah.
most poorly aged part. Well, the
But
that
she's
and the de-aging, but the de-aging already looked bad at the time too.
one thing that's been driving me nuts about this weekend with Tron Ares coming out is people have been like Tron Legacy revolutionized the like the de-aging and the Legacy sequel, and I'm like, these are like the worst aspects of modern Hollywood filmmaking.
And
Like,
also,
why are
I
we
think-
celebrating how Tron Legacy was the thing that ushered
but
that in?
to be fair, I think that Tron Legacy gets too much credit or bad rap about the whole Legacy sequel thing.
I
because-
agree.
because like look at Halloween 4. It does.
Yeah,
if anything, like,
Other
that's one of
movies
those
did
tropes.
that before. I think that maybe Legacy gets the credit. It has Legacy in the title. That's probably why a big part. But also, it provided a very clean formula that other franchises could do. So like that, I will blame it for. But that's like not the movie's fault of like what happens afterward because of it culturally. Yeah, I don't know.
And also
It's
like the
just-
intention.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Sue.
like it's to me, it's astonishing how tasteful Legacy is compared to just like 30 seconds of The Mandalorian, like of any episode of The Mandalorian. Like, yeah, it's sensitive downright.
There's a key difference because the reality is that the de-aged character is Jeff Bridges, and he is on screen as himself in this film. The other instances that we're referencing there, like you're saying Mandalorian, these are like, you know, an actor who didn't even show up, you know, like Mark Hamill isn't there, or it's like an actor who is literally dead and they're just like mining that, right? Those are the worst elements. And then also like this movie is before AI, so it's just a lot of chroma keying to replace the facing, right? And it makes Clue look kind of buttery, like really artificial. But I think that is what makes him work.
Yeah,
no,
that
this is-
totally works for the Clue part. It's just it's mainly when you flash back to Kevin in the real world.
Yeah.
They obscure. I think they know they don't it's not fully there because they try and obscure it kind of in the real world.
And it looks
Shadowy,
good
yeah.
when it's obscured. Like I think they do a decent job incorporating it as a sleight of hand. But then that part when he turns around in full view and
You're like,
on the
"Oh!"
stage as a viewer.
Why was that? That should have been shadow cast. I don't
Yeah.
know why it wasn't.
Has there ever been
you know,
actual good de-aging? Like it
No.
always looks bad.
Isn't it supposed to be pretty good in The Irishman? Isn't that
No, that
no.
the movie's incredible, but the de-aging is bad.
Oh, I always thought that it was like, no, like we went for it and it worked.
I mean, that's how they promoted it, but in the practice, it's clearly an 80-year-old man.
I don't watch 4-hour movies. I watch Tron.
You can watch as a miniseries in 4 parts.
Honestly, I really prefer the way they do the flashback sequence in Tron Legacy to any of the stuff that happens in Fast and Furious 7 with the replacement of Paul Walker. I feel like they actually do it better in this movie than they did in that one.
What do they do in that? I've never.
They had Paul Walker's brothers act as a stand-in for CGI,
and then they just
replaced
pasted
the audio.
Walker's face.
No,
I would
and his
just
audio.
have
They
the
took like
brothers
lines from
like-
older movies in there.
Oh, even they definitely did that for Ares. Like I don't.
Oh yeah. We'll get there. The opening credits for that movie are fucking insane. But
Oh my
with
god.
Tron Legacy, like
Similarly.
I like the way the Legacy gives us the exposition, like because you can, in theory, just have stumbled into like, oh, I never saw the original. What's this, a new Tron? They are giving you the room to like, hey, here's what you need to know, and it's clean. Like, yeah, it's very blunt, but it's just giving like, hey, this is what you need to know real quickly, but it's just presenting in a cool, I think, way.
I love the corny, like scary CGI TVs, like wearing a dark gray room.
That wasteland of just
TVs.
like
why?
It's so good. It's so
It
good.
makes me think of like when Morpheus is giving the presentation in the like the wasteland of the real or desert of the real or whatever that shit. Like they're like, yeah, what's like a scary computer place we can go to
kind of bring up the score, because I feel like we should crack into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the first like 45 minutes of this movie almost works as like a full symphony where everything is just kind of rolling into one another so naturally, right?
It's even got
And
overture.
like we're talking about this apocalyptic wasteland of TVs, right? But it's like the way that everything kind of just bleeds into one another. You really go along with it. Like you're just kind of like, yeah, okay. Like I'm leaning into my seat. I'm like going like, yeah, tell me more. The fact that it's able to bring you in that way, it adds more intrigue. Whereas the first movie was more whimsy, right? And I think that that's a good direction to take this if they're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's a good way to kind of update it for
It's very
like
stark.
a more cynical audience, a more modern audience.
You're right. It is starker. Especially the first one had more fantastical bent, and this one it does feel a lot more colder, a little bit more cynical in a way in terms of like how it's presenting things. But I like that too. I think that that's great. I think that all the way it's shot, the way everything frames, and as you mentioned, the score, it feels like so focused and clear and like just laser aimed at things. And I think that does give it a great tone off the bat. Like you're just kind of going into it. You see him as a kid on his bike, on the motorcycle, he's going through like doing all this stuff to get into that server room. He's like, it just completely goes through and through. It just doesn't stop. I love that. I love the way that begins. It just, before it, gives you some time to like decompress.
There are two elements of the era that we have to talk about, because with the first Tron movie, we talked about how Disney was in turmoil with that era. With this era, it's like it's in the in-between period of like there was the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but those were tapering off, and now they were trying to start their own
What year was
series
John
that were
Carter?
Like that. John, I think it's like around that era. We were talking about that before you got on,
2009,
actually.
I wanna say.
Oh wait, is this 2012?
2012. It was 2012. Tron Legacy was 2010. So
so around this
Carter
time,
came 2 years later. So what I mean by bringing that up is that like Disney kind of didn't really know what kind of identity it wanted to take its live action films in, and what they're clearly aping from with this movie is The Dark Knight, like straight down to the fact that like we have that whole base jumping scene that we were talking about before. The way that the score is clearly harping from Hans Zimmer, also Danny Elfman and Jerry Goldsmith when we get further into it. And then also like there's the whole aspect ratio changes because of the IMAX cameras that they had. Well, no, actually they didn't shoot this on IMAX cameras. They actually just upscaled it, I believe, for IMAX. But they do the same thing where it's like a lot of the scenes are shot in widescreen and then it goes to the full aspect ratio of 143. And I really like that gimmick. I think that it actually really works for the way that this whole film is shot. You know, like how there are points where there are more narrow hallways, and then there's the expanse of the grid, right? And I think that a lot of that stuff is just really well considered, and we get that because Kaczynski is an ex-visual effects guy.
They do it a couple of times in Aries. A couple of aspect ratio changes.
I saw it not in IMAX, so I didn't see any of those aspect ratios.
Maybe that's why I like it. It really was like an IMAX experience.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say I saw an IMAX too, and honestly, I don't know. I don't think it adds much. I don't think it adds as much. But anyway,
the main benefit of the IMAX is the sound system. I mean,
yes,
that's
and
like,
I feel like being punched in the face. It was so good.
But I also like a taller image, right? I feel like with Tron Legacy, there are moments where it's like with the original Tron, it was fixed to one perspective, and that was fine. You know, you didn't need that. With this, it's like I feel like the aspect ratio changes to fit a sequence that requires more information, and the Dark Knight works similarly in that area. And the problem with Tron Legacy is that it feels less and less considerate as it goes along, and that's where I start to bristle with it, because it just doesn't have as many interesting ways to tell the story in a visual way. It's all rooted in how it flows together.
I'll agree with that, because like after a certain point, like I think that everything up until you get Kevin's whole flashback about Tron's sacrifice and all of that. At that point, it does steer into the skids a bit sluggishly, because then you have like, okay, Sam's gonna go, and then they're gonna follow him, and then there's a fight, and then they have to escape, and then they're like just on the Solar Sailor, and then fight, escape, chase. It does feel a little more repetitive from that point. But I think but again, I'm with it, because at that point I'm fully immersed with the characters and all that. But
right, emotionally, I am on board. I do get that it is repetitive in terms of those beats, but it didn't bother me, because like you said, Elvis, I'm locked in with the character journey. I'm just a sucker for father-son shit also.
The father,
son.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you can.
No, you. No, hey, Canadian standoff. You go for it.
I love the evil father-son stuff, like the Clue.
Well, you get both. This is a good movie.
Yeah, like
the way that Clue is playing that moment too, right? Like the way that's why Jeff Bridges is fantastic in this movie, because Jeff Bridges is playing both a younger version of himself that's conniving, and then an older version of himself where it's like he was from the 80s and he didn't really mentally move on. You know, like there are takes to these characters that Jeff Bridges is bringing to the table.
It's such a cool, because it's like this movie is so kind of informed by where Jeff Bridges went in popular culture as the dude, and it's like there's that like you get some of that in like Tron 1 of him being like kind of carefree, a little more maybe not spiritual, but like the rock star programmer, which like I'm pretty sure famously was like his idea, versus kind of like a stereotypical nerd. But then like Jeff Bridges moves through 20 years of popular culture as the dude, and then we bring him in for this Tron thing. So of course, like he is like the guru, the guy with the robes and the meditation.
Harsh my Zen thing, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good line. I think that you're really harsh. You're messing with my Zen thing, man.
But his line deliveries in this are like the flashback when it gets to Clue's takeover, he's like, "Am I still build the perfect system?" And his pause when he's just like, "Yeah."
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I think we need everybody's for the
yeah.
But it's like it's like such a cool. Clue is so cool, and like Jeff Bridges is such a good villain. He's terrifying. Like they're like, he's
scene where he finds Kevin tied out and he like smashes the table. Yeah, the apple. Yeah, because those moments are low, because like I feel like he's imbuing the movie with deeper themes than it's actually engaged. It's mostly just gesturing at these ideas, but the performance itself is saying so much.
It's acting on those ideas a lot more than the story itself.
Yeah.
Which
This is what happened. this is what happens when you get a visual effects director, because then you have like a great actor who can come in and kind of fill in those gaps, right? If the whole cast was Jeff Bridges and Olivia Wilde alikes, who could kind of fill out that aspect a bit more, maybe it would be a more complete movie in my eyes, but with Jeff Bridges, like I feel like, to go off of your point, Soup, right? Obviously there is that perception of, in quotations, the dude that comes with the legacy film, but I actually don't feel as though Jeff Bridges is playing it as if it's an extension of the dude. We'll get to it in Ares. But when it comes to in Legacy, it feels more like he is his character from the first movie, where his vocabulary is more so based around dude and far out. And he uses and like man, like he kind of just sticks to those three, and then beyond that, he feels like a spiritual leader. And I like that is where it's coming into it. It doesn't feel like he's like a stoner who's like wandering off. Like he actually feels like his character from the original Tron movie.
Because there's a subtle difference between someone, a character who's perpetually stoned, and someone who's maybe not mentally present because they've been trapped in a place for what to them is like thousands of years. Like the 1,000-yard stare for someone who's had that many years of sentience is gonna be a little different.
Because I really like, I dreamed of Tron first time in cycles. And it's like, he seems to be going like in and out, not like consciously, but like I get the sense that he has moods.
There's times where he's more there than not.
Yeah.
And definitely his son being there is a grounding thing of like where you can tell that he has. Oh yeah, he's like, oh okay, this is real. Like my son is here.
He also gains more powers as the film goes along, right? Like it's not because he was not powerful before his son showed up, but it's almost as if like
his son made him powerful. Shows up.
Exactly, and like that's sweet about it. But to go back to what Elvis was talking about, when the movie starts to enter a rhythm after we get back to Flynn, and when it gets to that point, it starts to become like action sequence, exposition, whereas in the earlier parts of the film, the action sequences imbued the exposition within them, right? Like the whole light cycle sequence in Tron Legacy is the best light cycle sequence in any of these movies.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's because Clue is like that, the speech that Clue has Jarvis give to the crowd, and then he's like, were you pleased with my delivery? And he's like, it wasn't meant for them. Like it's such a good, like the Caesar addressing the Colosseum, and it's like, oh.
And when there's also the point where it's like Garrett Hedlund had just like gave him his identity disc, allowed for Clue to get all these memories off of him. He throws him away down the chute. He appears on the arena, and then all of a sudden Clue's just there again, and he's in his suit again, and it's just this like big dick like, what the fuck you gonna do now, boy? Like we're fighting now, you know? Like it's like he's
got such a showboat streak. It's so cool.
And it goes back into like the authoritarian element. I feel like this movie specifically feels the most fascist, and I mean that in a positive in the sense of like the technology is acting that way because of the corporation that's now owning it. Like it has that feeling to it where it feels more of an extension of what then felt like of technology, and it honestly feels like a more accurate representation of what it is now than Tron Ares does. It's a very
I would agree with that. 100%. Yeah, like this Legacy does feel more current than Ares in a few different ways. I would say even in depiction of like gaming, because like like 2010 this is doing the best it can with like computer graphics in, but it like we just talked about the light cycle and all the gladiator game stuff like that. If that was the tutorial in a single player narrative game, that we have more tutorials or like first couple hours of games that play like that now than I feel like we did at the time that Legacy came out, of where it's like, yeah, these are going to almost be like walking simulators for a couple hours as we tell you like what the rules are, and you go into the thing, and then we maybe teach you some controls, but while the story's happening at you too, like it's not like a separate tutorial section.
Yeah.
Also, I think is really funny is what they update here. And it's total aside. I love where this conversation is going. So I want to do this as an aside right now because we're talking about the games. Is that in the first Tron, Kevin is good at the games and good at doing stuff because he's a gamer. You know, he's good at the games in real life, he's
Mhm.
good at the games in the digital world. See, it correlates. But in Tron Legacy, they have to like explicitly state that Sam is like he's like an X Games kind of guy. He's athletic.
Mhm.
He's into all this kind of outrageous
Doesn't
kind of
do that dork shit.
exactly. But that's also because you can't just say he's good at video games. So to be good at video games in the digital world, in the grid, he has to be like actually be a physical guy. So that's why he's good at the games and all that stuff on the grid because he's actually a physical guy in real life. So I
No,
like
this
that.
like
I
Elvis,
like that distinction.
I love that point that you're bringing up, and then it also kind of leads into something that I have as a slight critique, and I don't mean this as like a game-changing thing.
Mhm.
You know, I feel as though what I would have liked is if it went a step further and made it so he was also obsessed with the games that his father made as well. Because I feel like when he's in the game, he has to kind of learn the rules as it goes along. I almost would have preferred it if like he gets to the light cycle area and he knows how it works, and he already like he doesn't need to work with the other guys to make it work. He's just naturally good at it because he's obsessed with these games because his father made those things. I think that would have worked really well. I think the reason that they don't do that in this film is because they're trying to make an audience surrogate character.
That's true too.
For someone who hasn't seen the film specifically, sorry.
Yeah, that's what they do go over it a lot. And again, that's like one of the things you do kind of sequels, even in not doing Lego sequels, that you have to kind of re-explain. And so I think it does well enough re-explaining because it kind of happens like around him more often than not. Like it's kind of a rush of information to him. He's like kind of out of it. But you're right. They really do kind of re-go over light cycles, recognizers, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
But the way it just flows, like everything in that early point in the film, right? The way that the score is carrying you through all of this, like I really can't get over how amazing the soundtrack to this film is.
Adagio for Tron is like a masterpiece, man.
Oh,
like it's a masterpiece of the scene too. Okay, not even just like the funny way he says yeah, but also like just like the rising emotions and everything. Bruce spotlights their performance, Jeff Bridges' dual performance, the action, everything just coalescing into like this one big operatic moment. That's what I love about the first two. They're big, sweeping movies. Like you get yourself carried away with what's going on, the themes, even if they're thinly written at times. You're like close to having like profound experience. I think.
Yeah,
you're like really into it. And so the Adagio for Tron scene is like the synthesis of that. Well, there's two moments of that in this movie
because we're seeing included in that montage just like a genocide is happening of the ISOs and like where clues rise to power and all that.
It's horrific. Yeah
I really think like one other, I would even say like underrated, like it's a hilarious line read. It's a very funny way to do that scene, but I really like how they keep the awkwardness of the like the problem with Kevin at that scene is that he truly did not see this coming with Clue. It's like he was so neglectful to his first son, basically.
To both sons.
Yeah, no. Oh, it's so good. It's like Tron is like Legacy is so much about like favored child and like like Clue can almost be seen as like a Lilith figure. I would say like the first human created. Like I don't know. It's so like I love the awkward for the meme wise, but I love the idea that he's just like, why are you being a bummer, dude? And it's like,
I thought we were just like hanging.
Yeah. Like I've seen people like try and like solve that scene where it's like, well, should he have said no? And then Clue would have, just given it up. And it's like, no.
No, he did not consider that this was a possibility.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, like this is like a Judas kiss in the garden scene. Like, this is the conclusion is foregone. Like he's doing this because he's Clue in the sense that like he's this malevolent showboater and this like accuser against a false god.
And it's important for it to be that way because it's also a well-worn trope for the artificial intelligence to be like, in order for me to operate at the maximum potential, I have to eliminate the human X factor in this. And that was also present in the first film with Master Computer, right?
Yeah.
So it all just works within the world of this film. That's all sound to me, right? The thing that I also like is that, we were talking about the way that there is this like, the way that the life exists within the real world as well as within the grid, right? And with what we see with the IOs, right? They are fascinating. The way that they are born of the grid,
It's a
but they
version
Like
of
they
are
it.
just
independent
emerge
of
from
it.
the water, like some
Yeah,
kind of
it's an
primordial.
immaculate conception.
It's
Yeah.
evolution. It's an
Yeah.
evolution, right? Which is what, like, not to jump ahead to Ares, but that's far more interesting and fascinating in terms of like what is the responsibility of sentience within artificial intelligence and what is their worth of having a full life within the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept that I wish we explored.
Yeah, like you want to talk about like what we had said earlier about like, you know, a lot of the times these movies are only gesturing at these things.
Yeah,
Like,
so this
Ares
does
is sort of
gesture a lot.
Now you know why my problems with this movie exist. You
Yeah,
know, like
you know,
like that is the most interesting thing is about this film, and they get genocided within the first like 2 minutes of them being introduced. And it's like, yeah, sure, we get Cora, who is that, right? But as we've already established, Olivia Wilde does not have much writing to her. She has to bring that to that part, right? She's more of just kind of this blank slate that has to exist within the third act of this film. And you're like, why? She should be the thing that propels this movie in the third act. Like,
she should have been Sean.
She should have taken up more point of the plot than Garrett Hedlund did, and she even suffers in comparison to him, right? Like, it's very bizarre how she's kept in the back seat of this movie so much when
conceptually it's like the most interesting thing.
She's protagonist, you know, like Tron was protagonist. The
Yeah.
personal beef.
Yeah, she should be the Tron structurally too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And again,
I definitely agree with that.
I still love this movie, you know, I do. But yeah, no, Olivia Wilde, it has always been like, this is a weak part. Not her, but the Cora.
The writing for it, yeah.
Yeah. She is bringing her A game, and it's like she shouldn't have to work this hard. Like, you guys should have picked up.
Or the writers should have been matching her, because like in I've seen her referred. She talks about this movie very fondly, but and the character, she's like she compared Cora to Joan of Arc. It's like she's bringing that reference point, but the writing is not.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes I feel like I'm coming at it from like a weird like fan servicey way, but it's like Olivia Wilde's like presence is much darker, like because like my girlfriend knows her from what is it, like 90210 or something.
House also was she
yeah.
on?
Yeah. Oh, she's great on House.
Oh no, I think she's in Entourage. Oh boy, I need to like yell out and be like, what was it? But like she's like the like scary goth in that show, and it's like, you know, like it's trading one stock female archetype for another, but it's like she plays a very good kind of dark femme, much better than an Ella Purnell type character, where, you know, she's bouncing around and pouting at the camera and everything, even though she obviously sells it. Like,
if we're just talking about Olivia Wilde specifically, I feel like Hollywood doesn't really know how to utilize her, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like she's a better actor than she is a director, to be honest. And my favorite role of hers is actually in the movie Her, when she's in that sequence where it's like the blind date, right? Like I feel like she brings so much. She is the master of like bringing something to a part that doesn't have a lot to it there, you know. That's why she's at least, you know, okay as a director, because she is able to conceptualize these things quite well, right? And she's able,
I think she needs to pick better scripts in terms of director. Like if she had better material on that end, then like, because that's my takeaway from Don't Worry Darling isn't poorly directed. I'm like, well, you needed some more. That script needed a lot more time in the oven. Like
it's a worse.
She had better ideas than the script did. She did. I will be with you there, Doug. I'm there with you.
Right, because it looks nice, you know.
But I think it's a testament to her talent.
Yeah,
like a worse actress in this role, she would be a laughing stock. It would be like, oh, you were the
so annoying.
It would have been embarrassing, yeah.
And it's like, and it would have hurt that actress.
She would have been like the girls in the armory, right? Because like that's the misogyny of this film, and then also within Tron, right? Like the women in this series. No, but the sirens are cool, but like they have nothing to them, right?
Yeah,
like, they are flat.
I get you, but in those little moments, there is some but like those actresses are
They have
doing.
quips.
Yeah, no,
They have an energy. That's really what you just need, especially if you're only in the movie for a few fleeting seconds.
I know. I think we're gonna press on a point here that there should be more active female characters in these.
Oh
movies.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
getting at.
Yeah,
these
yeah.
movies,
The sirens are cool, but like there
We
should.
need Yori.
In the franchise as a whole, I think
Yeah.
that's just
The-
a point.
The problem with the women in the armory is they are some of the only women in this film, and their only purpose in the story is to outfit the men, right? And again, in the first Tron movie, what was the purpose of the woman in the first Tron movie? She was just kind of like the
She
person
built
who
the
dated.
laser.
Yeah, but like she was more important to the plot as like the person who used to date Jeff Bridges, but now is with the guy who is Tron, and there's that
tension.
love triangle. Yeah, and it's like it was so flat, right? Like, we didn't even talk about it while we talked about Tron. It's so
got
flat,
into the Solar
right?
Sailor too.
What I'm trying to get at here is that like women don't really have a place in this world, right? Ever. And it's only
it's
really
almost like a
Olivia Wilde who's
commentary
the
on
only-
the tech industry.
Baba Booey.
Right.
Baba Booey.
Like there is absolutely room for improvement. Even like I would even say it's Serinda Swan is Gem. I think she does give her some interesting internality to it, but it's also that stock archetype of like
It's very cliche.
yeah, like there's probably like a word for it, but it's like like the armors for the
Patel.
gladiators. Nah, like the sirens when they like outfit Sam with like the armor. Like I kind of felt like it's like they're like intelligence gatherers, because the one says, he is different, and it's like,
Well,
and
like
they're going to
this-
report that up the chain to someone.
yeah. It's like, and
Well,
it's
also
like,
like they're called sirens, right? Like sirens
Yeah,
are
yeah,
in
yeah,
mythology
no,
like
no.
a threat, right?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Jem herself, in her position in that story is when she is distracting Garrett Hedlund's character from his mission, right? Like all of it is so blatantly like you shouldn't be trusting Jem, right? Again, a two-dimensional character, at least from my perspective. Again, I don't want to
yeah.
like
Like,
anyone.
none of
I'm not
this
going
is
to push
like-
back on that.
Yeah, no. Seriously.
I would just say it's like I think there's interesting wrinkles, and it's still they are absolutely playing in these.
Just
in
completely
these
stop.
Yeah.
And-
Because like
At least
I think-
Martin Sheen's doing a good David Bowie,
Martin
I
Sheen is-
really like
He's
him in this.
having a blast, and we don't get it. He's kind of barely in it, but it's very memorable, like presence in the movie.
Also, just being like a kind of camp gay guy, like in a probably slightly problematic portrayal. Like
Sure, but it does give the because like we said, this one has less hangout time than the first one, so at least at like Caster's Club, like we get the that's what programs would be doing, right?
Yeah.
Like just fucking
hanging
hedonism.
out.
well, if you like that Elvis, Elvis, if you like the club scenes in
I'm not gonna watch
Legacy, you
Uprising.
gotta check out Uprising.
Maybe someday. And when the stink of Aries has gone by.
Actually, still obviously couched in plenty of like archetypes. Probably the best. Like women do have a place in the story of Uprising, which is very.
That's actually true in terms of like comparatively, it's pretty advanced.
You get
They've reached the
lesbian
20th
subplot
century
with Cora.
in Uprising.
Well, time passes
it's-
different in the grid, so you gotta remember
Yeah.
that. In terms of women's rights.
Oh my
Suffragate
Suffragate
happens like
problem.
100 years from now in human time.
little program suffragette.
Yeah, that should be the plot of the next one. All
Yeah.
right.
Hey,
Yeah,
it
that
would've
should.
been
You
better
don't
than Tron
even need
Ares.
action. Just
wait,
make it be like a courtroom drama about the rights of program.
Like, does Ares have like a social security number? Like, how has he been living off?
He just took a dead guy's like identity.
Yeah.
He's immortal.
Probably.
He's immortal. That's it. He's made of plastic. He's immortal. That's the reason. He doesn't need to eat.
Hey, didn't you hear he went to Mexico? Like Mexico is a land of no laws. He's off the grid.
He's off grid with his bike.
He's off the grid, unintended.
Oh my god, I hate that.
Going
line.
back to back to
I feel like
Martin
all those
Sheen and
lines
Tron
were
Legacy.
Jared Leto's idea too. Like anything,
Oh my
I
God.
feel like a lot of stuff we were gonna complain about is like, who's responsible for that idea? Oh, it's Jared Leto.
It's Jared Leto. like when we get there, like I can't wait to shit on Jared Leto. I can't wait. Like it's gonna be so great. With Tron Legacy and Martin Sheen, I feel like he is also representative of the second and third act faults, where it's like when we get to the sequence in the bar and there's the fight is almost cut around what Martin Sheen is doing, and it's because he's so entertaining.
100%.
But then it also reveals that Joseph Kosinski as a filmmaker doesn't really have the instincts necessary to focus on what's important, because hey, earlier on in the film we have these light cycle sequences, these disc fighting sequences that were really well composed and well choreographed, and then when we get to these fight within the club, it constantly cuts back to him, and it's like the choreography's there, it seems like you got the coverage there, but it feels like you're more interested in this guy mugging, right? And it's because that lack of focus for me,
probably a lack of idea for what the action is, although Kosinski at least knows to have a shot of the action breaks out, we're about to have a fight in a club. What did the DJs, Daft Punk, there do? They lock the fuck in. Okay, the fight's about to happen. Let's drop one of the best tracks on the soundtrack right now.
The one that was released as a single.
Yeah. If Uprising got a second season, they were gonna come back. Those two DJ programs were gonna be like meeting people, and like you find out they like talk, like they can't talk, but they like flash like text across their visors.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
very
great.
cute.
Apparently, like Daft Punk, when they were approached by Kosinski, they were like interrogative of Kosinski, and they were kind of like, "We won't join this unless we know that you're going to do a good job with Tron." And you can really feel that with the performance that they deliver within the score. Like this score feels as if it's like two people who have been like, "How can we make movie scores better? How can we like evolve on the format of what a good score should be in a movie?"
Dead serious with this.
This is revolutionary film score material. I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like this is some of the best music in any movie ever.
I mean, that's like a large part of why this looms so large for me is the music.
I mean,
look, you said that you made this movie your personality. I was walking around in high school listening to this soundtrack all the time.
I had on my iPod shuffle.
Not even when you had the complete version. You were doing the vanilla version.
But no, definitely right. But you're right, and I'll take it back to something you said when we talked about Tron 1, about how golden, that silent golden era age filmmaking kind of techniques there, right? And I think that's kind of like the score here. You know, it's evocative. It's like if you watch Nosferatu or like Phantom of the Opera. You know, the silent versions, you just carry by the score. It's all about the soundscape. It's there to like give you the emotions that you can't hear, that you can't think about, that isn't explained to you. You know, and I think that they really do it, because if you listen to that track, to that album on its own, if I'm watching a movie and you are taken on a sonic journey, you know, from start to finish, it is like, you know, a concept album for the movie, more or less. If you didn't know about it, like, oh, okay, this is what goes to it, you know? And it's
they made a movie to go to that album? That's cool.
Yeah. It's like reverse engineering Discovery and Interstellar, you know?
Yeah.
No, hey, if we're talking about Daft Punk's discography, this is probably their second best album. Like, I feel like this is like a foundational work within their accomplishments as artists. Like,
absolutely,
it is that good.
It is really fucking good.
And like I was talking about earlier, this really feels like Jerry Goldsmith, like and specifically the Mummy soundtrack that he did. And also it feels like it's pulling from Hans Zimmer, what he did in The Dark Knight.
Absolutely.
It feels like it's pulling from also Danny Elfman with what he did in the original Batman movie. Like there are a lot of and even like I would say Alvin Silvestri with the Back to the Future soundtrack. I feel like it is pulling from like some of the best, greatest hits of scores in all movie history, and then adding the simple element of a synthesizer to that equation and elevating it to the same level as an orchestra. It is quite like it's taking what Wendy Carlos was doing on the original film and taking it to its logical conclusion. Like, it is just such a fantastic score. I'm sorry to gush so much, but it is.
But like
it's difficult to overpraise.
Yeah, no. I mean, come on, you had listened to this, the Rezzed edition, the reconfigured edition. My God, man, it is its own half-life of its own, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, my girlfriend pointed out, and like, because like I almost didn't catch it, but like in the finale, you hear the orchestra breathing, and it's like that is so. It's like this works because it's not just bleepy bloopy stuff. It's like these people and these computers and these programs are
The
alive.
world
and
is alive.
yeah, like it's so
It does a better job of conveying it than the actual movie.
yeah,
right,
so,
Doug.
I actually like my hot take is like Legacy is as good as the score in terms of like complementing each other. Like
Yeah,
right,
no,
because you don't have there is no
It's
movie
interplay.
without it.
My hot take would be that it's not a vibes movie. It's lots of people trying to defend Ares right now, saying all you need is just a cool art style and a good and a good
Okay,
song.
where's the cool arts? My
Yeah.
follow-up.
No, like this
Yeah,
The
like-
movie
yeah, like Ares is the most plotty and like the least vibey of these
Exactly,
three movies.
but, like-
even
like-
as someone
like
who
that-
still kind of sticks up for it.
Like that's that's what all the first two were anyway. Why are you
Yeah.
guys so upset about this one? Like, I mean, again, like even if it's just gesturing toward themes, at least it has themes to gesture toward. You know, again, that entire scene where again, I'm going back to the Dao Super Tron scene because I think that is like the one of the two crux points of this film. There's two, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what the second one is. We're not there yet, but this one is one of them because that entire thing where you're like, disease, history, philosophy, science, religion, everything was up for grabs. Like that's a big mission statement. I love that it says it. Does it do anything with it? Probably no, not really, because
Biodigital jazz.
it just makes a
But
statement.
you
makes something
feel
bold.
the scope of what he's
Exactly.
saying.
Yep.
You're like,
Exactly.
oh
Yeah.
my
Feel the
god,
passion.
they were playing God.
Exactly.
Yeah. You
You-
feel like
and-
life was actually changing.
Exactly, and I love that, even though it doesn't play with it too much because of the scope of it all and the structure of it all. I love that it goes there. I love that it plants a flag in the sand that I think is bold and more ambitious and more confident than any other fucking Disney movie has ever been since then.
It's also more bold or confident than any Joseph Kosinski film has
That's
been.
very true.
Right?
But
yeah,
it
I'll
actually
go
has
with
something
that.
to say about the
But-
human experience.
But did this say what if there was a billion Tom Cruises? I don't know.
I've been meaning to check out Oblivion. I actually didn't realize that was him.
It's I don't know. I think it's fun. I'd watch.
I think I'll
I thought
enjoy like the solar punkiness of it, where like I like his little ship. Like I'll look at the ship.
It's a bunch
It's a
of
little
other
flat.
sci-fi cliches and into a blender. Like it's like you're gonna recognize the plot lines from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, they did this from the, and it's like, yeah, we just put that all in one movie.
Which is kind of what Legacy is. Like, it's like they used to make sci-fi movies before the MCU. Like,
what was that sci-fi movie that Scott Derrickson just did called like The Gorge? Is that the name of it?
I thought that was like a horror movie.
Yeah, no,
like, you could
Yeah,
do
the
that.
Gorge, it sucked, man. But yeah, go ahead.
I would say Oblivion is closest to The Gorge.
Oh my god, it's unwatchable, man.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's Scott Derrickson. I didn't
The
know.
Gorge is like one of my top 3 least favorite movies of the year. It is like unwatchable to me.
That's sad.
I don't hate it that much. I think that the chemistry between Miles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy is actually quite good, and it's largely because they are such good actors.
Mhm.
The problem with Scott Derrickson is that Scott Derrickson is a great genre filmmaker who
And a
needs
boring
people
man.
with better. Yeah, he needs people with better ideas around him. That's why I see Robert Cargill is a great co-writer, and I'm excited for Black Phone too.
I have never seen anything from either of them that I've ever liked. Ever.
Do you don't like Sinister?
No, it sucks.
Oh,
I
no.
like the percent, which in terms of screen time is probably 10%. I like the part of Sinister where it's the home movies.
The home videos are
Mm.
okay. And then everything else is like the most bullshit, boring thing I've ever seen in my life.
The other
then-
stuff kind of undoes the tension
Oh,
from the home video.
You know what's really scary? When like they walk through their house and like the little kids are like doing cartwheels.
They're doing like tag and shit.
Like,
It's so boring.
They're doing ghost tag, and you're like, oh, Ethan Hawke doesn't see them.
Oh, and they're both boring people. I haven't seen anything that had anything of like interest, like something like ambitious from them, like the Black Phone. Okay, well that's or like Sinister 2, the first Doctor Strange. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Name one good thing from them, and I'll recant this.
what I will say to back up what you were talking about with the black phone, I think the idea of making the first black phone like a totally grounded threat and then choosing to make him a supernatural threat in the second movie.
Yeah, he's just Freddy Krueger now.
And they even said that.
I like that.
Oh,
I
wait,
like
is that?
But
Oh my
listen,
god, that makes me way more interested.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like I might actually like to maybe a little bit, especially because there is no Nightmare on Elm Street anymore.
But that's what I don't like about it, because they even mentioned like, oh, I was inspired, to make my. I was inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to make my own Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Like that's lame to me, man. Have bigger.
No, but
dream a full dream.
I don't even see Black Phone as Nightmare on Elm Street. I see it as a Stephen King story that was like
Well, it was a Joe Hill
adapted,
story.
you know?
It was a Joe Hill story.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It
It's
is
his
a
son.
Joe Hill story. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
When a
Joe Hill
Stephen King
loves to-
story knows like what an iPhone is. That's like a Joe Hill.
Anyway.
I concede. I concede.
All right. So anyway, back to Tron.
Tron Legacy.
Tron, the real masterpiece.
Black Phone Legacy.
Black Phone Legacy. That's what you should call it. Black Phone 2, man. That's a bad title.
Ethan Hawke would have been great in these movies, you know?
He would have. He should have been Ares. If you're gonna
Everybody
get
should
old man,
be in scary armor and have like a vaguely black and white face. Like everybody should be in Tron.
And his name's the Grabber.
Grabber would be like a little like scratty program in Uprising. Like this is my buddy Grabber, and he like steals.
he's like
things.
Clue, like a hacker program.
He would be where like the quarantine programs, like like the Merovingian in the Matrix has all like the programs put out the pasture. That's where the Grabber's hanging out.
Ares is just like, oh, they call me the Grabber on the Dillinger.
Oh
my God.
boy.
Oh my god. Anyway,
To bring it back to Tron Legacy, I
Yeah.
wanted to say I really like the Tron stuff in this. I think the way they utilize Tron in this movie is actually quite good.
Interesting.
yeah, I think it's very tasteful.
I would sign off on that too. Yeah, because it's I'm glad that he's in it rather than not, because it sounds like that was almost the case.
That's a low bar. Yeah, I'm glad he's there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Hey, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. Like there's a 30% chance now that Tron will not be in a Tron movie.
You don't know when you boot it up. Is there going to be Tron in my Tron?
This is another one of
Russian
those.
Tron
Like,
let.
it's very memeable or like very kind of silly, but I also really like it. I love, and this is also like a very early 2010 thing, like controlling Rinsler through like the contact juggling balls, like
Yeah.
like, people were so into contact juggling back then, and like it's weird, but I like the kind of weird sexual dimension.
Yes,
that it has.
it is.
Like,
It's a horny
like,
ass movie.
yeah, like I have brainwashed your boyfriend and I control him through his testicles. Like, how does this make you feel?
Yeah, let me fondle his balls real quick and make him try to kill you.
I have Tron by the balls, man. And this is how I do it.
I think that that added layer of like weirdness like makes it, because it's like obvious, like, oh, okay, Rinsler's Tron. Like it's not a reveal really when you're like, oh my god, Tron!
I was taken aback by it. Are you calling me dumb for not knowing?
No,
They showed me Tron was
didn't get
dead.
it
That dude was dead
when
as
I was a
fuck.
teenager either. Like, I didn't get it back then either. I was a dumbass.
But Tron, I like the Tron stuff in this too. I think that people like to say, well, there's mostly Rinsler, but I think Rinsler itself is a better Ares than Ares. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
Like,
There's lots of things that you can do comparing the two.
Because one thing, I like that Rinsler is, for the most part, pretty freaking evil, but he's really good at being evil. He's like he's there to do a job. He's there to fit his directive, and he does it and he's so cool, so slick. It's fucking awesome. But also,
what was Tron, right? Like
Exactly.
Tron was something that was supposed to seek out issues within the circuitry to solve it, right? And then what happened in Tron Legacy, a program took that over, right?
Mhm.
And the Rinsler is just an extension of that, where it's a program using another more powerful program to enact their will. And
Mhm.
what makes that character more interesting is how Rinsler / Tron slowly starts to come back, not to reality or to humanity, but to their prime directive.
yeah. And that's something
I
that
fight
is
for the
sorely
user.
exactly, that's something that's sorely missed, because like that's an interesting aspect to take it from. Like, and even though it doesn't show like a lot of Tron, I think it does handle the character
There is an
with
arc.
with some semblance of dignity, And that's cool. I mean, it's good that he's there.
I like that we're like Tron is there.
Tron,
I think
Tron,
we can all
And the guy in
agree.
the title
that
is in the
Tron is
movie.
in the Tron movie.
We're kind of setting up the next one to just get like kicked in the shins like several times.
I
Like,
mean,
I want to be the
we
guy
don't
who's
ask
like,
for
I'm
much.
glad Tron is out of Ares. Like,
No,
I
no,
needed
no,
that guy less.
No, but to be fair, I feel like if he was in it, it would have made Ares like at least 1 star more for me. You
Yeah,
know?
1000%.
Especially if you used him at that place that we were talking of, like,
Yeah.
instead of Jeff Bridges, like,
Yeah.
It would
that
make so
makes
much
sense.
It's like
Because he's the
thematically.
anti-Tron, so, like, why wouldn't he see his mirror image? Ah!
And then he can learn. It can dynamics. Oh my God.
I keep, not that I want to expose people to Jared Leto, but it's like I keep just
The
finding
hub to whoa!
I don't want anyone to be exposed to
I
Jared
didn't mean,
Leto.
yeah,
He's
I
very
didn't,
thinking
I
on
didn't
top
mean to use the
himself.
word expose and Jared Leto in the same sentence, but like, it's like I keep wanting this character to bounce off of other characters, and it's just we would just need an actor who could do that. But it's like,
The idea of Ares is it of like of that
Yeah.
character, you almost actually fully want it to be in conversation with,
Yeah.
because let's
Well,
talk
to be fair.
as we're getting through Legacy, like the threat of Clue is he wants to invade the real world. He wants to be a real boy.
Mm.
You know, he's like I see that Sam can be my ticket out of here, and that can like he clearly wants that realness to feel what it is like on the other side. What if you could climb up to Mount Olympus and live amongst the gods, So that's the promise of the end of this movie. I mean, we stop him, but then Sam takes an ISO into the real world, which is its own version of that. So it's not like the idea of Ares is coming out of nowhere. It just doesn't follow up on that in my sense, like any
To be fair,
kind
like
of way.
Ares was like what came from the original script of Tron 3, back when that was going to happen. So it's
There was an actual like direct sequel at some
Yes,
point.
Yes, and Ares was a character in there.
Was the name Ares?
No,
like,
it's
where does that come from?
Well, the
Like,
name was the Ares was the name of the character in the original
mythology.
script.
Okay, yeah, because I'd always wondered like
And
when did we
the-
go from Ascension to Ares and like where did the name?
Oh,
Ares
that's
come
after when they revealed. I think that was just recent. I think it's 2020 that happened. Became Ares.
from? Okay.
They're like, okay, we're not gonna get anyone back. So just pivot. Let's pivot immediately to Ares only.
Garrett Hedlund said no. Fuck.
Well,
No,
one thing I wanted to drill in quickly before we move on to it too much, like the idea of artificial intelligence entering the real world is always considered a bad thing, right? Like that's something that is established in this film and the previous one, right? And it's not because like, hey, no, you know what, get out of here, programs. We don't want you in this real world. It's because there is almost like like they can only exist within a certain reality, and by Clue entering the real world, it's breaking the laws of reality, right? And what makes the IO so interesting is that they're born from something that's intangible, right? And I'm able to go along with that a lot more in Legacy because I feel like that's something that's intangible in a sense that's beyond humanity or like a program, right? Like
It's
that's
a
like,
pure
oh my God.
unknown, so I'm like, I don't even know what that means if that she's like in the
Exactly.
real world now. Like, does that like it's like we're in fully uncharted territory, which would have been cool to follow up on. But never mind.
Like
And
I
she can
don't-
only exist within the confluence of humanity and technology working in simpatico. And it's because of the humanity that's brought to the technology that they're able to work within and talk back and forth with one another in that sense, right? That's why it's interesting to me. I just wanted to throw that
No,
in.
that's a good point because I'm not inherent. Like I'm going to get into it when we get to Ares, but it's like I'm not inherently against the idea of some sci-fi having like a more optimistic idea of tech. Like the most recent Matrix movie has the idea of factionalism within the machines, where they're like there are machines that don't agree with subjugating humanity and putting them into the Matrix, so they're actually like helping the resistance, and it's like to me that's cool and interesting, but it's like it really depends how you do it, because the way Ares tries to have some kind of benevolent AI thing annoys me, but we'll get to it.
Because I think with Ares, okay, well, let's finish up with Tron Legacy. I do want to talk about the second core scene, and that's clearly the finale, the confrontation between Clue and Kevin Flynn,
Father and
because
sons.
because that is such a fantastic scene. Bridges is bouncing off against himself, and it is heartbreaking. It's heart wrenching.
You
It,
did
it,
all this
it,
for
it is
him?
pathetic. It is tragic. It is desperate. I love it. Like just Clue breaking down. Like why? Why? Like why can't you just give me this?
Yeah,
Why
like
can't
why
you let?
will you not love me and
Why
me?
don't? It's so hard just to like. Why can't you just let me have this? It's such a plea. What if you met God and he didn't love you that much? He didn't hate you.
Totally.
He just didn't
Yeah,
love you
yeah.
that much.
I was talking with a friend and they brought up and like I had said it as a joke and then I realized how well it fit. It's like in Succession, like I'm the eldest
Yep.
boy. Like he
Right.
is the first child. Like and he's the most imperfect child because like I really like the idea like programs are human people, like they deserve like like rights that you would give a human, but it's like they do have like different proclivities for like like collectivist work or like kind of like kind of like a little ant brain to them. And it's like Clue has limits, like he just cannot like he is still a human sentient being, but it's like he just cannot understand certain things as that flawed being. And like Flynn says it himself, like you wouldn't know this because I created you wrong. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like it's like, father, like I'm fucked
It-
up. Like why did you do this?
It's Paradise Lost. It's Luciferian. It's like
Right.
God created something that turned out not to work right. That turned out to be antagonistic. That turned out to be selfish or self-centered or like just downright evil or in a way. Now, whose responsibility is that?
Yeah.
It's like again, Shelley. It's like what Blake. Did if God can create good, why did he create evil? And that's something that even Clue is tortured by. He is doing what he needs to do. That is his job.
Yeah.
And you can say like that it's a one-minded single purpose thing due to him being like a program, but it's also like isn't that just how it kind of feels you're locked into place
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So
And
he
the thing I
relatable
love
to the
about
feeling.
that is that he's defeated by the merging of the two. It's be like if God and Satan reformed into one being or something.
Yeah, it reminds me of
It's a part of him.
like
He
a
has to
Wizard
accept
of
himself.
Mercy, where you have to confront that darkness and absorb it, and it's still there. Because like going off of the point earlier that like Clue wants to be like a real boy, I actually sort of don't like Clue. I think sees himself as real in like a supremacist way. Like he wants to go
Totally.
to the real world
To
not
conquer.
to say like, oh, like I am the realest boy actually.
I'm gonna show you how fucking real I am.
Yeah, no, like
Well-
I'm going to show you how real it'll fucking get, dude.
We've talked already about how this the first Tron movie and this one are rooted in the idea of authoritarianism and how these programs operate. And obviously, when he's confronted with Jeff Bridges at the end of this film, he is more obsessed with how he's perceived by him because he desires the respect from people that they respect. A classic fascist move, right? Like that's the heart of it, right? Is a feeling of inadequacy. Clue feels inadequate because he is inadequate and he doesn't know why. And Jeff Bridges, his arc is understanding by the end how, in which way he was inadequate. And it was because he was an inadequate father. And that's the best thing I can say about this film in the third act is that like, it doesn't take until the ending of the film for the real Flynn to understand that like the reason that he was not a good father to his son was because he was so caught up with the IOs. He was so caught up with Clue. He was so caught up with all these things that he could not unplug in time. Yeah. And then that was the thing that screwed him over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'll give that a yeah.
Yeah.
He's turning into Austin Powers.
Yes,
so you're completely right there, and that's why I love it because it reminds me a lot of Southland Tales too. Because again,
Ooh.
like Miscellaneous
Thank
figures.
the Lord.
Yeah, Miscellaneous figures, and the solution to the end is that you have to accept the parts of yourself that you are casting out. You have to accept that before you can proceed,
Right.
before you can move on, before you can create a version of yourself that you know that you can live with. And I think
Both
that
halves have to become whole in order to be
exactly.
cleansed.
Exactly. And that's great. I do love that. That's one of the most beautiful things as well. Obviously, you do see like that big shot of like where Clue's face is like getting all warped. But when they burst together and and like just giant amount of energy, his eyes go red. It's phenomenal. If you like go like on slow speed on it, it's
Like, if we were going to see Bridges again in Aries, there should be something dealing with that, the aftermath of like, they kind of just sidestep the whole thing where it's like, okay, if Flynn still existed in some form, it would be some kind of merged Clue consciousness, right? Like, is he like both have parts still, or is it just a backup of a previous? They don't want to even touch that, so they don't. He's like, he's just here. Don't worry about it.
Okay, like not to crack open into Tron Ares too much, but I will say that like I feel like the inclusion of Bridges in Tron Ares is as if like the outsider's perspective is the idea that fucking Jeff Bridges is Tron,
Yeah.
and that's the major issue with his inclusion in Ares, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll get there when we get there, right?
Right.
I don't want to get too much into
Right.
that, right?
So
When
I
it comes to
only
legacy, yeah, go ahead, Elvis. Go
So
ahead.
the only thing I want to bring up, and then you guys can bring up anything on Legacy before we move on. But one thing I want to bring up, and I didn't realize this in my most recent rewatch, and I didn't remember I realized it until yesterday. I made a tweet about it. But what I love, and you don't really see it. I think it'd probably be too corny, but you don't really see it in full focus. But in the Coliseum, on the outskirts of the Coliseum, there's a sign, and when we first see Cora, and she has her mask on and everything, she's on a sign. You can see it says from like the top angle.
I know what you're talking about.
It says clues, right?
Yep.
Like, and then that, like, I realized, oh my god, it's a fun parallel because it's right outside where they play the video games, the Coliseum
Oh my
games.
god, he's
It's
so petty.
it's like Flint's versus the arcade where they play video games.
Yeah,
that's funny.
He's literally like, my arcade is bigger. Like,
Exactly.
yep.
my playroom
Exactly.
is bigger than yours.
So like I like that detail. It's good paralleling.
And he's the little, like, he's the rock star of that Coliseum.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh
but
my
like
god.
not in a people's hero way.
Exactly.
Like Flynn
Everyone,
was.
when he's like, everyone's going there to watch him play. Everyone's like, yeah, man. When he goes like I'm playing the light cycles.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a bit of a dark mirror to the scene from the original. So that works. That tracks. Anyway, that's my only other thought on Legacy.
Good movie.
Good movie. I liked it.
Not very good movie in my eyes.
Oh well, we can all. Definitely flawed. I think that is, I love these two so much. I love both these movies so much. They mean a lot to me. But I will say that.
And then they never made another one.
They made another one. So what I love that Tron Legacy does leave a lot, for follow up. They did plan a follow up called Tron Ascension, and all of that. That was going to deal with taking back the original grid and NCOM, and what does NCOM mean at that point? How does that how does that tie into everything? And we saw in the NCOM scenes, which we'll just talk about right now, just set up how things change with Ares. We have Cillian Murphy, who is playing Edward Dillinger Jr. He's part of NCOM's board of directors and seems to be like their lead tech guy. And then we see the shots of the NCOM server room, and the server room is full of gigantic, ominous black towers with all red light piping, which I guess you can figure out what that means, right? Red is the evil color in this series, right? And so like that's all there to set up like, okay, how they take back the grid. And then there was an epilogue short. I don't know if you guys have seen, or you, Tony, have seen,
I love
called Tron the Next Day, which is basically like a little sum up of like what happened and what it means for future things. Co-hosted more or less by Alan and the guy and the Rams programmer.
The goat.
Yeah, Rams programmer Dan Short, who turned out to be like running this resistance or like underground cult movement for Flynn. He's the guy who created Flynn Lives, right? And then Malon's like, we're gonna need to be back there to help Sam with this, bring all this back. Like okay, and then basically just, and then there's like a little tag at the end of that shows a chat between Edward Dillon Jr., Cillian Murphy, and the MCP, which he calls Dad, but whose tag is MCP, and he even says end of line. So like you get the idea of where this might be heading. And then 15 years passed. And now we have Tron Ares. Let me just set this up. So out of all of that, the bare bones of it remain, okay? Because you do have a MCP governed evil grid, except it's no longer NCOM grid, because I guess it would be too ridiculous to have them still be fighting that fight 15 years later. Instead, they just make that Sam ran the company to the ground. Hooray! And let's see here, and then Ares was going to be the Tron of the NCOM grid. Okay, the MCP. I guess the MCP learned a couple tricks. Like, okay, I'll have my own Tron this time. Okay, so Ares is going to be Tron, to be the security program, and obviously they were going to have to get past him. But I thought that was a really cool idea. And there is one, the very beginning of Tron Ares that I think really sells that idea. But Tron Ares is a softish reboot in the vein of Scream 5 or The Force Awakens, where we're going to just kind of raw shakes things. We're not going to worry too much about it, and we're going to mystery box the rest. Okay, and it's about the Dillinger systems, which don't tell me how they factor into things, have created their own evil grid, and they have created their own security programs that have AI awareness that they have decided to bring into reality. And both NCOM and we don't see NCOM doing this really that much, but both NCOM and Dillinger systems have their own lasers that can bring this to reality at this point. Whatever. No one seems that phased by it. It seems to be pretty common knowledge at this point. But they're both looking for something called the permanence code, which I have a lot of fucking thoughts about. The permanence code, and they're gonna say that a billion times.
The clean slate.
Yeah, the clean slate, right? But that's how it works, apparently, given how Ares is just like in Mexico. Anyway, and so they're on the race for it, and they find it in an old '80s computer. Which don't tell me how that ended up there. And let's just go around. I did not like Tron Ares. I'm gonna say my piece first. I thought it was fun in like the theater. Like it's fun in the way that candy corn and cotton candy is fun, like Superman 2025 was fun. Like it's the score hits you in the face. There's lots of action scenes. They're all over the place. They're like buzzing around. It's got that kind of energy. It's kind of hit you over the face with, and it's easy to get inured to it. But overall, the story was the weakest by far. A lot of the characters were weaker than we've seen them, and of course, we've already gone ahead and said that there are lots of stock characters, and just the performances are very all over the place. There's not just one weak performance. There's weak performances all around, and then the great performances or interesting performances are very far and few in between. But that's my piece. Soup, you take it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm at this point. I'm like the only person on Earth I'm convinced that likes Tron Ares. And then you're in the weird position of like defending the Jared Leto Tron movie.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it, man. Like if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, I mean, like weakest of the three by a wide margin. I've said it before, but to me, this is like the C's get degrees of Tron movies. I sort of just like. I felt like my prediction was made accurate in my eyes that like it's impossible to make a Tron movie about nothing. I phrased it as like nobody feels nothing about technology and like nobody feels nothing about their parents. And like I just kind of feel like that is like baked into Tron. So like even if you are the stupidest person on Earth, you might just still kind of accidentally make it something about it. I don't know. The character of Ares, I think we've talked even in this, like not bad on paper, not a bad idea in general. I like the idea of like exploring like an actively malicious god versus like a Kevin Flynn who is kind of more like inattentive and capricious. So like I like the idea of Julian Dillinger he's vying for the probably the most significant female character in Tron after Korra, Gillian Anderson. Like he's vying for the love of his creator, and doesn't achieve it. And like he kind of winds up reproducing that, dynamic onto his little creations. I don't know. I'm kind of just taking, to me, what I thought were like the crumbs of like the decentest part of this movie.
A lot of that you can probably see, were vestiges from what
Yeah,
Tron
yeah. It seems like this is about 60% Ascension, and that's the parts that work.
Exactly, because the parental dynamic. When you look at the next day, the chat log between Ed Dillinger Jr. and his dad, his dad. You can definitely see that kind of parental dynamic where he's trying to like get his father's approval. Exactly, his approval in some way is kind of like mirrored or replaced. With Julian and Gillian Anderson's characters.
Yeah. So like I would say, like I basically can just like never successfully like counter, I think, any critique I see of this, other than like to me a lot of the weak parts of Tron in general, like I'm talking about like every inch of Tron that has been created, like to me the flaws like are features, not bugs. Like I liked the groan-inducing dialogue. Like it's probably the most groan-inducing dialogue. But like, if anything, I guess that means it's the most Tron we've gotten in 15 years.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, like I guess that's kind of where I'm coming with it. Like, I found the 80s stuff obviously more pronounced than the second movie, but like also to me like sort of just came off as more thoughtful than like the average 80s fan service. Just because I think you have to have some kind of dialogue going on. I'll wrap this up because like we got to go on to the other people and what they think of it. But like I sort of found it interesting to do the Flynn office in stasis within the bigger NCOM office, and then at one point like the building is blown into like 3 layers of like the outside of the NCOM building, the corner office of the Hassan Minhaj character, and then inside of that is the Flynn thing, where it's like you kind of have this like nested thing, like, and like it's a very blatant 80s nostalgia thing, but I just kind of found it a little bit more conversational, especially with Tron 1, than I thought it was going to be for a Saw 3 reboot.
Well, I think there's a lot there we'll probably dig into in just a moment, but Tony, what do you think?
Well, I wanted to start off my initial thoughts with this by just actually thanking you, Elvis. Thanking you in the sense that when we started this retrospective, we're going from the VHS films, with the previous series, in the sense that, you were watching those films and you were like, I kind of hate this franchise, and then, you were like, hey, let's watch the Tron movies. And then I was like, I'm not a huge fan of the series, And the great thing I can say about this episode specifically is that you have opened my eyes to the fact that there is more to the Tron series than I had originally had thought, I had gained more of an appreciation for this series when I returned to these movies. I'm glad that we did this. That being said, I think that Tron Ares is the exact movie that I was worried about returning to when you would ask me to make this, series retrospective, right? I feel like Tron Ares is like so imprecious with the things that were set up with the original films. The things I liked about the original movies are gone here. It's in service of a chase film that is rather rudimentary, and it's in service of an action star vehicle, right? Like this is not a Tron movie. This is an action movie for Jared Leto. And we were saying this a bit off mic and a bit throughout this podcast, but the problem with Jared Leto is that he started off as somebody who was an interesting character actor who was trying to eschew the concept of an actor born from musicianship, right? And now he's gotten to the point where he's more of an actor than he is a musician, right? And the problem is that he has no identity as a person. He has disappeared so much into the entertainer element that the fact that he is the centrifuge in which a Tron film is being born from, it is as incoherent as his own worldview. And it's echoes throughout this entire movie to the degree that it's like the worst Tron movie. It's a Tron movie that doesn't understand what made the original one so good. You can feel the fingerprints of Disney kind of like moving in the direction of what it wants to be as a corporation, at least within our current framework, as I've referenced with all the other Disney films. And then also, the filmmaker, Joachim Roning, right? He did Kon-Tiki. He did the Pirates of the Caribbean movie that Gore Verbinski didn't do, whatever that one was. And then Maleficent, the sequel, right? Like, this movie has no identity. The worst thing I can say about this movie is that, like, Ares himself is a nothing burger, right? And this should have been about Tron gaining sentience to get into the real world. I think this movie is kind of awful.
Whoa,
I think
man.
that,
Tron should have been
yeah, bold statement, right? I think that the major issues with this movie are foundational. I think that this is a truly awful movie. I don't think it's a train wreck. I think that it is truly a movie that suffers from not only its simplicity, but the expanse of what it should be in the future. It's a worse Legacy sequel than Tron Legacy is, in the sense that it puts more effort into what it promises rather than what it delivers. And also, the soundtrack, right? Like, I love Nine Inch Nails. I think that they deliver a great soundtrack here. But what's missing? The orchestra. There's no orchestra here. And with the missing of the missing piece of the orchestra in the Tron Ares soundtrack, you're missing the organic element. It's all in service of the artificial intelligence. And when we are in service of the artificial intelligence, it just lacks the human element that was present within the Tron original film. It's present throughout this entire experience. It was a real slog. I really did not like it. I'm sorry to poo-poo on your parade, Soup, if you enjoyed it. It's just one of those movies that, like, it's emblematic of the problems of our current era, and it's something that's like, hopefully we can move past this.
Well, I don't. I agree with everything you said. But again, we're gonna dig more into that because God, we're gonna rip this thing a new asshole, aren't we? Anyway, anyway, Doug, what did you think about Black Adam? I mean, Tron Ares.
No,
the Disney hierarchy is about to change.
This makes Black Adam look like Citizen Kane.
I would say they're very similar movies in very different, very close ways.
Yeah, they're similar in terms of they're both like ego-driven star vanity, like trying to insert themselves into a franchise.
But also like from conception, like in Black Adam was a spinoff of a movie that didn't get made, and so is this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an apt comparison. Although I would say if you put a gun in my head, I would pick Black Adam in terms of which one I'd rather pick. I didn't really enjoy this. I love the world of Tron, so just being able to see Tron-like visuals at any level is nice. Although we don't get much of that in this movie, like the grid stuff is very minimal. And I think there's like Soup. I think you did a great job of like trying to synthesize those crumbs are there. Like, I don't think you hallucinated them. Like,
I was kind of taken by surprise of like how much I kind of felt this was conversing with the other two movies.
Like those things are
conversation.
Right, and it's like doesn't less so than the other ones, which just maybe gesture at broader, larger philosophical ideas. This one is like almost like fighting the ideas like away, like, and so it's not it doesn't gel into anything that's like cohesive or satisfying for me. Like, yeah, I do love this score, and I'm probably gonna listen to it a lot because I like Nine Inch Nails, but it's not transportive of the Daft Punk score in Legacy work in concert in such a way of like I am being retransported back to that time of when Legacy came out and to those scenes. When I hear that music, the Ares on my re-listened to the Ares score, it's just gonna be whatever my brain is generating in those moments, and it's not gonna be memories of Ares. Like it's just gonna.
It is kind of like I'm mostly just remembering the last time I listened to this kick-ass song. I was like, oh shit, yesterday was awesome when I was listening to this too.
I mean, to be
Like-
fair, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say there's like moments where you almost feel like the movie is gonna enter that like kind of I called it like a trance-like state of like where the music and visuals sync up,
Nail on the
and
head.
and you are transported somewhere. It almost starts to tickle that idea, and then it'll cut to something else or we just see Jared Leto's face and I'm pulled.
That jet ski chase, I really thought
I cannot believe you for that.
Yeah.
My friend also liked the jet ski scenes. I did not like it. It's like all the action scenes are.
I didn't like. Why was there regular explosions from they're on the grid? It should be like blue explosions or something.
I just thought it was like the Dillinger grid is a lot smokier. Like it's just
the Dillinger grid looks kind of boring.
Oh, I thought that they sold me on it.
Both
Honestly,
grids are kind of boring because you only see like one part of it. This has the least grid stuff of all. Well,
movies. There's a lot less.
Like 10 minutes worth.
I want to drill into this, right? Because like Tron Ares does the thing that you would see in like 80s films when they didn't have the budget to make a sequel to a more interesting film. This is the Beastmaster 2 of the Tron films. This is like Howard the Duck. This is like fucking what was it?
I was about to say Masters of the Universe.
Elvis,
we can't do a He-Man. Let's just bring him to the real world.
Exactly. Elvis, you took the words right out of my mouth.
That's my fear too.
This movie,
end up being right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like this movie suffers the mortal sin where we spend the least amount of time on the grid. And the fact that we have to see these things in the real world is actually the least interesting thing about this movie. If Ares was supposed to be this thought-provoking character, and for this movie to really be worth a damn, we really have to buy into them as a being with their own autonomous beliefs. Now, before we get deeper into the film, right? Like I just want to talk about the beginning of the movie because I think it's so important to talk about. I made a tweet about this movie where I was saying there's a very large pro AI sentiment to this movie. And I think that very purposefully there is a lot of AI used at the beginning of this movie to show these talking heads who are being like debating the ethics of AI, but it's from the most detached, stupid, like we know nothing about AI from any kind of perspective. Like literally the last question is who should control AI? Right. And it's the same thing in our real world where this question is being posed in the headlines every day. And the major problem with this is that Tron is a fantasy series. This is not supposed to reflect our reality. This is supposed to be like somebody's dumb extrapolation of what technology is. The best part of Tron Legacy had that element as well. The fact that Tron Ares is trying to be so close to our real world, but then also not have anything important to say about the technology and its current ramifications is the biggest letdown of the film, in my opinion.
I think I want to piggyback on that because it just shows like that fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Tron unique, like you're saying, but because they've always been alive, so like what it's like they're adding like this idea of AI. And it's like that just kneecaps everything. I think they're just using it both as a pretty buzzword, but also as a lazy shorthand to explain the mechanics of the Tron universe. But that's never how it's been. You're telling me that the calculator, that ROM and CROM were like AI computers? No, they were just regular computer programs. They've been
sentient the whole time.
So this idea of AI doesn't really play with that as much as it should. If it was going to play with that, then it should have played that in a way that was more definable. But you spend so much less time on the grid. You don't even if there was like other normal programs that Ares was interacting with on the grid, then you can see like, oh, this is an AI program and these are like regular programs, something like that. But no, like even on like that storytelling level, this idea is just so misused and just misguided. Like even take that, even ignoring, like the outside ramifications of like, oh, AI. What if you want to speak to someone that was dead? Like, fuck off. That's just propaganda.
Oh, that was like Christ alive.
Yeah. It's like, but it's just like it's so lazy. It's lazy.
That's exactly it, right? And the thing is that it is actually in active conversation with pro AI sentiment, right? Like it's not trying to be its own separate fictional universe. It is actually trying to like draw a direct line to our real world. And it's far less interesting when it's doing this, right? It removes the agency of the universe that has been built, right? It turns the objects that we have mythologized as the universe is Tron into things that we can kind of just reckon to, right? And like there's the argument to be made, right, where it's like Tron and Tron Legacy, these were not financially successful films, these are cult classics, so you can come back and do whatever you want with it, right? But like the problem with this movie is that in its being, it is in service of corporate interests, and you feel this more in this film than in any of the previous ones. And it is also a representation of where Disney is right now, where they're floundering after Marvel and they're going, okay, maybe we can try to get something different going with Tron Ares. And it doesn't make any sense. This is a studio that is adrift and has no idea where its place in the larger filmmaking landscape is, despite being on top of the audience mountain hill.
And I
Yeah.
told her, go ahead, Doug. I was gonna say
No,
something
I was just gonna
there.
say because it's like it doesn't have anything to say other than what if there was a benevolent company that had this technology? Like, there's not
Amazing point. Yep.
there's not any like speculation on what like the what we're suggesting the ramification of the stuff would be totally world changing, but we're not going to actually explore that even within universe. And I think there could be, like I said, we're all lamenting the absence of any real grid stuff. I think there could be an interesting movie where you have some kind of fusion of the grid invading our reality, but this is the most boring version of that, I think, because like then like just from a design or creative standpoint, why wouldn't you have like, okay, having the timer on it just so they have the reason to go after permanence or whatever, sure, and that adds some kind of ticking clock, but what if you already had like programs integrated walking around in the like already like you said, Tony, tying this so closely to a real world issue takes away the mythology of it when we should just be doubling down on that. So like why not have programs in our world to try and capture that? Like, yeah, some of the stories gods would come down from Olympus and you know be amongst the mortals, but now let's like reverse that. Now they can come to our world and
It
just like
shouldn't be Ares. Ares should not exist. It should be Tron.
Tron, and then I'm just talking about just like in world building, you just see regular programs throughout the street, like when people go outside, like that. This is like maybe they're being projected by some, you know, kind of like how the Doctor on Star Trek Voyager or whatever, you know, it was a sentient hologram or something. They have shit like that, and then the permanence can be the MacGuffin that takes it to the next level where it's like, oh, they can fully live in our world, which that also doesn't. I don't. Permanence. I don't know.
Let's see. Good. So we're talking about the scope and ambition. I mentioned it the soup like on a couple days ago. All right, but you know, as Tony said, not been a you know successful franchise. You know, it's done okay, but it's never been like a big hit. It's never been well known. This proves even that even people who liked it over these last two iterations, it's not a sleeping giant. It's just a regular sleeping person. Okay, and I was almost sleeping too. Anyway, okay, but I'll finish my thought here. If they were going to do this, if they're going to make a movie that wasn't going to be very successful, that had a lot of stuff pulling against it, why didn't they go for broke? You know, why didn't they just go for it?
Disney is broke.
Yeah. So I was saying, Tony, like if they were going to do this and if they were likely lose money, they should have just gone for broke. They should have just like they're going to spend all this money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do something big with it. Then you know.
Lean into the Tron legacy of it all, right? Because they already stole the production design from Tron Legacy, right? They don't have a new like evolution of what this looks like in a modern concept. If you're going to steal from the past so much anyways, why wouldn't you try to like evolve on the ideas that had come before rather than try to like rip things from the headlines in like the least informed, least impactful ways? It's I said it before with like Tron 1 and Tron Legacy, they're very dumb guy vibe movies, right? But they don't try to aspire to be more than that. And I feel like Tron Ares is trying to be smarter than it is.
100%. Jared
smarter.
Leto in the publicity for it is being like, yeah, and the people can walk away and have a conversation about, AI. And
Oh, is he doing that?
Jesus
I have purposely stayed away from the press of this movie. Is Jared Leto being as obnoxious about this?
Yeah, he absolutely is, because he's a producer on this. So we should say he definitely had to, he wasn't just like a hired gig where they're just like, oh, Jared Leto, of course, star
this is a Leto project.
Product. Just like the Black Adam comparison, like this was generated for him. So I feel like that dooms it.
The movie started production, or at least pre-production, 9 years ago, right? Like 2014. That's right after Dallas Buyers Club, right? And
He's got
I'll
an
tell
Oscar
you right
now.
Exactly, right? And I'll tell you right now, I was at TIFF when Dallas Buyers Club premiered. That was a moment, right? Like that was a thing that people all got upon, right? And the thing about Jared Leto as an actor back before he made Dallas Buyers Club was that he was known as an actor who took risks. He was an actor who was trying to not be so precious with his image. He was in Requiem for a Dream, right?
Right.
Yeah, and like he's in a role where he gets his arm cut off because he has so much heroin. He's in so many David Fincher films in that era, right? Like Panic Room and Fight Club, right? And this movie feels like it's almost an extension from a studio level of a David Fincher film, in how Jared Leto is involved, in how Nine Inch Nails is on the soundtrack, and how this film is so cold and calculated in its digital cinematography, right? The problem is that it does not have any kind of humanity to it. And that's because Jared Leto himself has no humanity to himself. He has no real understanding of how to relate to the human experience. And that's because he's a disassociated, blob of a person, right? And he's only using the aesthetics of Tron to push forward his own ideas of what cool is. That's my major problem with Ares, is that it's a movie that's like, there's a director, but then there's also the actor who's taking over the director's position on this film. And he's also the producer of the film, right? Like it's one of those things where it's an overpowering presence that's not from the studio, but from the central figure who's there. And also, we haven't even talked about the side people, right? Like Greta Lee, right? I like Greta Lee.
I'm very confused of what a lot of these characters even are. Like,
but like I want to say specifically, like Greta Lee specifically, why did she sign on to this, right? Like
money.
I like Greta Lee quite a lot, right?
Did it pay that much?
Right. Like I kind of view Greta Lee less now. Almost, that the fact that she was like, I'm going to do this movie. Main reason being is that this movie script, like from a foundational standpoint, should have been a love triangle. It should have been something where it was Greta Lee falling in love with Ares or Tron, in my view, in the sense that like the humanity should interact with the AI in a more organic sense. And there's no earned element where there is an understanding from Greta Lee's perspective of Ares as a autonomous being, right? Like it's so bizarre how it decides to move around and conceptualize these things.
Because they know that Greta will, like, the movie, it's already asking audiences to believe that Jared Leto possesses sentience, and that's a hard sell. So do we believe that Greta is now moved by this guy? No, neither thing makes sense. So but like you said, it should be a love triangle. It should be like she has like a human boyfriend, which isn't the guy who's with her, who's from Broad City. That one actor is not.
No. I want to specify, right? I don't think that it should be that guy. I think that the love triangle should be between Greta Lee, Jared Leto, and then Joni Turner Smith. I feel like this movie.
I kind of just felt like there was like.
Well,
Right?
there's a
Yeah,
glance from Jodie Turner Smith when they digitized Greta Lee, but then there seems to be no follow up on that
And
idea.
it feels very self-centered because like there's this moment like right where Julian Dillinger is like you want to steal it for yourself, use it for yourself, and then like you know at certain points, certain reactions from Athena, that's the character's name, seems to feel like that's also her conception that Ares is being selfish, and then like there's no recapitulation on that. It just kind of ends with Ares saying, "Yeah, I'm selfish. I want it for myself."
I don't want to like take this too off track, right? But like the love triangle there, honestly, is very close to the Catherine Bigelow movie Strange Days, right? And I feel like if this movie resembled Strange Days
This
just a
movie
bit
should
more,
have been Strange Days, yeah.
that's what I'm saying, right? Like I feel like that
Cameron
would have been
Monaghan could have been fucking
Ray
who's Tom
Fiennes.
Sizemore.
but I'll say right now, like Doug, you were talking about Dan Stevens earlier today on Twitter. I feel like Tron Ares, like Ares, should have been Dan Stevens.
Goes up a full
like,
star and maybe a star and a half. If you don't even need to change the script, it's just Dan Stevens now. Yeah, I would.
Right,
it works more.
Everybody on screen would have more charisma and chemistry with him, right? Like Jared Leto is such a non-presence in this movie, and every time he's acting with somebody, I'm questioning if he is shooting his scenes on the volume and everybody else is acting against like a tennis ball. You know, like it is very strange.
They may as well be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I do want to say, okay, is that the first scene that we kind of almost tricked me into thinking it would be good. The first scene, I did mention this before.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Elvis.
So because I mentioned before, there's like Ares, anti-Tron. We already kind of got that with Frinsler, but I do like the idea of Ares because Ares, in the original conception, he is the security program of would have been of the NCOM grid. So he's not in the wrong really. He's just there to defend the grid, and Sam and Cora and so forth would have just been like viruses. So like who is in the right there? So I like that concept. In the first scene of this movie, I feel like, oh my god, they're actually going to play around with this, because one, we see him get built, we see him, get improved, upgraded, patched. It's like this great scene it's like shows like just how horrific it is to keep going back and back and back. But and also, I love the beginning at the when the tiles drops, right, where Julian, who I like the way they remodel and homage the MCP face. I like that, and that's a good visual thing. I'll give it 1 point for visuals there. But he's like, you're Ares, you're defender of the grid, and I like, oh, that's cool because it's like, like that is his role technically. So that's kind of awesome to like think of it in that kind of reverse kind of way. It just never comes up again because you don't spend any time on the grid, so who cares?
And it never feels like whatever those couple minutes we revisit the grid is that he is, because he is the new master control program, so he should feel like that he is this dictator a la Clue or MCP. And
they just kind of throw that around, they throw that term around, which is kind of lame.
Yeah, like we see that he has these like guards he can command, or these commandos, but like it's like, is he ruling over the whole grid? We don't see that.
The major problem with this movie is that like with when it comes to like the idea of Ares's place in the story, is that like with Kevin Flynn in the first film, right? He's somebody who was shooed fame and fortune to be a separate from the billionaire class, to then fight against it, to then conquer it, right? And then Tron Legacy also builds upon that as well, right? With an Ares, it's like it's only billionaires fighting against one another. Greta Lee is a billionaire, Evan Peters is a billionaire, and Ares is born of Evan Peters, right? Like this is just entirely a rich man's game. And at no point do I ever feel the humanity of the struggle. It feels like this is a struggle that's existing outside of the human world and realm, in a way that makes the story so intangible.
I get what you're saying. There should have been a meanwhile in the real world, and it should have just shown like regular people like dealing with this kind of stuff, which would have been good, because I did want to note that for a big worlds will collide, kind of story angle, every time the worlds collided, no one else reacted. Nothing reacts to anything that happened in this movie. They
You see
almost,
crowd shots of people looking up, like as a recognizer, like moves
But-
through. But like
they're
th-
flat.
that would be crazy. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
even know what you're looking at. Like you're like, what the fuck is that?
when they're
There's a
doing the
lack
light
of
cycle.
humanity. There's a lack of humanity given to the people in this film that is worse.
The human
than the lack of
characters.
humanity than the people who are in the grid of both previous films, right? Like in both previous films, we see people die. There are sequences where you can infer that multiple people have died, but like we don't care about that as much because they are programs. Human life is killed off in this film so much more and so much more frequently than in any of the previous other films, and we are given less time to reflect upon that.
Is it the
in
first
this
time we
film.
see blood? Like when Gillian Anderson is?
Yeah,
No,
there's a little
there's
bit.
blood in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that's the last part that the movie got me. Everything else, like, oh my god, it's all downhill from here.
I started to perk up and think like, oh, is this going to be something when we like zoom it when we start to show the process of NCOM or Dillinger hacking NCOM, because I'm like, that's what I want to see. Show me like a visual representation of a computer thing, and we just see them like, but that doesn't
minutes.
really live up to that idea, and then we also just never do anything like that ever again. So it's all for nothing.
Well, we gotta get back to the real world where it's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also like this is the most expensive Tron movie, right? Like how is it that this movie is so expensive when in reality it's like it is bringing so much of this into the real world and it has nothing to do with it in the real world, right? Like when we get it was just gonna bring it up. When we get like the actual like objects within the world that are just going into the space and we're seeing it collide with skyscrapers, right? And it's like these mass casualty events, right? Like there's a weightlessness to it that didn't even exist within the original Tron universe. Like I feel like if let's say
we
like,
see a
thought-
recognizer 9/11 happen, like a building gets toppled over, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
People are just shrugging. People in the light cycle scenes, right? They're like doing all these light barriers everywhere, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm stuck in traffic."
You know what? I'm glad that they cut the cop car in half. You know, if it was like a regular family's car in half, you know, I would have had some issues with that. But the fact that it was a cop car that got cut in half, I'm okay with that.
And that's the only
See.
time those barriers interact with anything else. You will literally see people just park or slow down, and then that'll be it. Like everyone's just going about their day, and like, what do you?
It doesn't seem that
no
disruptive overall.
impact.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, this is like a little inconvenient for my commute.
And look, you know, I get the idea of bringing a light cycle into the real world, right? I think that's like, you know, in a 12-year-old's brain based, you know, but at the same time, I think it looks kind of lame, you know, and in the Tron
It's
universe,
because the real world stuff doesn't look good. Like it just looks.
it never looks
bad.
good. But then also like the idea of the light cycle itself, you know, like when we are watching it in Tron Legacy, it's like you're on the grid. The light cycle always has that line that's behind you and it stays there until you die, right? And in the real world, it kind of turns on and off, and like it also lasts there for like an indeterminate amount of time depending on what's right for the plot. Like it really feels imprecise.
People have
It's
been dying left and right.
fuzzy and confusing about like, yeah, what are the rules of this? Speaking of
Well, no, like the cycles, they disintegrate at the same time. They're on the same timer as the other guys.
no, but the
No, but
trails.
That's
Oh,
what
no,
I'm saying.
they should. You show them. They go away at the same time too.
They sometimes disappear before.
Well, I think we're talking about the weapons too. They have the new light baton things, light staffs, and those are inconsistent.
Because
But,
like-
they are creating trails, but not really, because it's like really just for the visuals of the fight scenes, which aren't even they're whatever. Like I don't think like what if I'm like to pick the standout action sequence from this movie.
It's the first scene.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't really know if I care about how long the light trail lasts.
Well, it's the first scene. Definitely, I think the first scene is definitely the best scene because it's like this guy, like the Tron man, he's like doing all this crazy shit with the disc, and it's crazy, it's awesome, and then nothing like that ever happens again.
Like I feel like the best stuff happens in the grid, right? Like we
Yes.
get that sequence when like they're looking up and then they have to kind of like go on the stairs to go up over it. And who's that actor? Like I
Monaghan.
was watching, Cameron Monaghan. Like I was watching Red Letter Media. They had talked about Tron Ares and they were like, "Oh, Cameron Monaghan is a big actor and he should have been this." I agree because I really like Cameron Monaghan in the fucking Jedi Fallen
Yeah, I think
Order
he could
series.
pull off what like the war god kicked puppy that we're supposed to be feeling for Ares. Like, you know, it's supposed to be this warrior who is wounded inside and actually does just
Cameron Monaghan would be really good at that.
Yeah, he'd be great.
Yeah, no.
I
Jared,
wonder if he
Jared
was
Leto.
available.
Jared Leto is more interested in AI as an inhuman element of technology, right? And that's how the way he's performing it, which is very strange because what we saw
It's supposed to be
Tron
about
and
his
Tron Legacy-
humanization.
Exactly.
But that's we're never gonna buy that either. We never because of the lack of grit stuff. We never see him in his role. But for first time we see like him properly outside like the little intro beat where he's always created. He's already in the outside world. He's already acting like, oh my god, the world is beautiful. You know, like we don't ever if you can't. It's like Black Adam again. That's why I'm gonna bring back Black Adam. Black Adam was so scared of having the character like actually be someone that had to grow. You have to show him like as close to development as possible, so he doesn't have to grow. He's always been a nice guy. He's always been.
You
good.
just referred to him being bad before. You're like, heroes don't kill people. I'm not a hero, but we only see him, Black Adam, do heroic things. We never actually see, other than he is chasing Greta Lee, but like, yeah, exactly. We don't see him
who
like.
just entered the chat right now? So another person just entered.
Hello, this
Hi.
is another user.
Greetings,
this
program.
Is this
Program's here.
Ares? Did Ares just infiltrate the program?
We just got hacked.
All right. So we were talking about how Ares has no character arc and is boring.
Elvis, I do have to get out of here.
I would-
because it's almost 9:30.
So Soup, thank you so much.
I would
it was
agree with
great to
that.
talk to
Is
you.
it all right if I just kind of bow out,
Yeah,
or
you
are
can
you
dip
guys
out.
gonna keep going for it?
All right,
All right.
If you have any last things to say about Ares, feel free.
Nah, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's about as good as we got.
Yeah, you said
I'll
your
see you in
piece.
15 years.
Say your piece.
You made the best case possible that could be made for, because the only other defense I've seen online is like, well, what do you expect? You know, like
No,
that's
yeah,
basically
like, so,
the
yeah,
gist
like-
of it. Everyone else is like, hey, it's a Tron.
all of them are bad,
like
man.
usually my line with like Tron in general is like, and like I've said this to like other people who like don't always like get it, because it's like these are cult movies, right? It's like you get it or you don't, and it's, you know, like I've kind of said, like I'm doing a lot of the work with Tron, you know, like I love these movies, I'm doing a lot of the work with like the interpretation here, which is like how art works. But like I'm doing the most work with Ares, and like I would kind of say, like for me, there's like an idea of like technology these days is extremely disposable. You know, lives these days are extremely disposable. I did kind of find the quest for like a bit more of like an authentic permanent existence, in the sense of like, you know, I may die, but I'm like choosing how I die versus like dying for, you know, like a large like weapons, you know, violence based business, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know. I kind of just felt something with that. I feel like, you know, aside from all of the AI absolute horseshit, like there was kind of a bit of something shining through with that, just in the sense of like I liked when Athena kind of had said, like, you know, we've given 1,000 lives for this, like you only need to give one. And it's like this idea of like,
Dino was the best character.
I think
Oh,
she
yeah.
has the
She-
most
she-
interesting arc. Yeah.
yeah, she's kind of the clue of this, and it's like she has no clue,
She
but
should have
like
been
she's been
Ares.
trying. Yeah, this should have been
she
Tron
should've-
Athena.
Yeah, she should have been Ares. I
Yeah,
would say
it should have
that.
been Tron Athena. Her and Greta Lee should have rode off into the sunset on a light cycle.
There should have been a romance between them. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would kind of be like, yeah, it's like the most I got is like, I understand maybe the desire for something a little more permanent in life. Movie doesn't really do that. I'm doing a lot of the work with this.
Yeah, but that's a
But I don't know,
resonant
that's what jumped
idea.
out.
So, like the fact that you latched on, like you referred to them before, they're crumbs of ideas, but they threw them on the floor for you to pick up, almost in an insulting
Yeah.
manner. They're like, "Hey, go fetch your crumbs,
Usually
peasants."
these movies at least leave it on the plate. Like
But you
to me,
understand,
like
it's,
the sued shit is like kind of part of Tron.
Yeah.
Like I would say this is a hell of a lot dumber than both of these rather dumb movies. And I do not mean that in the sense of like, oh, like these were stupid all along, and we're just dumb idiots who like cult movies. But it's like that's to me how cult movies work. Of like, you get it or you don't. And
you have to be on the wavelength of that kind of
yeah.
personality,
I
on
think
that
I just
vision.
kind of found myself like a little bit surprised at like how on the wavelength this still was. Maybe that's just kind of, I have like a weird, like, I'm not trying to be optimist about it because it's like, this is a cynical movie. This is a
I
level
know.
of-
I get where you're coming from, and and it would have been more fun if we didn't have the guy at the center that we.
yeah. It's really just like such a poisoned well, because like there are even parts of this that I think work with Leto's approach, and it like they're few and far between. And like, what am I supposed to stick my neck out for him on this? Like, no, like actually, you guys don't understand. He made some acting choices here I really agree with. But
Well,
it's
that's me when
like-
I'm talking
you know-
about Leto on the House of Gucci.
Yeah,
He made
there you
choices.
go. I don't know. Yeah, it's like,
Hey,
to me,
look,
there's
like
there's
he's
a
wearing great shoulder pads, right?
Yeah.
Like, can we can all agree on that, right?
There you go.
He definitely has shoulder pads.
It is, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's kind of all I got. End of line.
End of line, man.
End of
hey,
line,
Soup.
man.
It was Soup. It was great to podcast with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope we do something for when New Gods ends.
Yes.
We can really unpack that one
Yeah,
too.
I'm definitely gonna handle it together, man.
Yeah,
do that.
thanks a ton. It was cool to meet you guys. I'll see you around.
Yeah, awesome meeting you, dude.
Yeah.
You have a great night, okay?
Night, guys.
Night.
Night.
All right, so C-Res, introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
who's C-Res? Who is
And-
C-Res?
Hello, this is Christopher. We met on 28 days, months,
Oh my
years
God.
ago.
Years, yeah.
Oh my God. He's back.
I'm
Okay.
back.
Say your piece about Ares.
Okay. I'll try to make it concise as you're teetering towards the end. Bad casting for Leto and Greta Lee. The dialogue is super clunky. The camera needs to stop moving and just pause for a goddamn second. I wish it would buffer and just hold. And then, but the spine of the movie is solid.
Like the idea of the Ares arc itself, you mean? Like,
Yeah. I like this idea of trying to you're a built war machine and you're slowly gaining sentience and you are questioning, for whatever reason, like the security program has enough intelligence to operate on its own. Dillinger designs this program to be that way, but that's not set in stone. And like,
Yeah.
if we're talking about intelligence again, like the movie and Tron like itself is not very, I don't want to say like rooted, but it has problems of, it's a video game movie. It's got like MacGuffins and quests and shit like that. But it's, I came out of this movie just going, I like the spine of this. I like the idea of this back and forth between him and Athena of like, what is what right and what's wrong. But I cannot stand the dialogue. There's no chemistry between most of the characters. Gillian Anderson is unfortunately there to just slap Evan Peters in the face. And
she's like,
while
"What's
that-
all this then? What's all this? You're tarnishing our family."
Yeah, and
I'm
just
British and
gives
you're
him a
not.
slap. and like whilst that's enjoyable to a point, like I think Evan Peters was a standout performance for me, and that's not saying a lot given that like the rest of the cast just again no chemistry.
He had an energy though, which everyone else
Yeah.
lacked.
Yeah, and that's kind of my summation. Like there's a lot more, but towards the end of the movie when Jared Leto is let out into the world, I'm scared, looking like Jesus, and but also like Jared Leto is that type of program designed by like an Evan Peters type of character. He's like, oh, he's cool. He's got a beard and long hair, and he's all in black and red, and I'm like, yeah, that fucking makes sense. So like, that's what a security program pig would look like, but but
it hurts
again,
when I'm
yeah,
supposed to buy that he's become human because I don't believe that Jared Leto is human. So it's
agreed.
Tough
Yeah,
sell.
I really wish the casting would have been different and the dialogue would have been just
and the director would
better.
have been different too.
Yeah, like again, the spine of the movie was fine. It's and like overall, I feel pretty mixed because of those reasons. So.
I mean, again, I've always said before, I'm going to repeat it again, this came from the crumbs of Tron Ascension. And I feel like a lot of the stuff from that, those aren't bad ideas. It's just that they waited too long and they just didn't replace the things that they had to remove with anything of interest.
I still don't understand who the Kims are I was zoning out when we weren't in the grid, which was most of the movie. So
matter.
like
they're just there because we can't, it'd be too much work to explain who the fuck Sam Flynn is.
Would it? Be like Kevin had a son.
But they have to explain about legacy, and they bring back legacy stuff. You have to re-explain that.
Do
again.
you?
You kind of. It's been 15 years, man. You kind of have to like, okay, where are they? They're like, what are they?
Oh yeah, the exposition dumping in this movie is really excessive.
It's terrible.
And as long as you don't have to explain it, you don't have to worry about it. So I feel like the weakest stuff in this movie for me, at least overtly weakest, is like when it tries to like downplay things that it doesn't want to explain. So it just either ignores what that is or makes it more confusing.
Like when Ares asks Flynn, "Are you alive?" And he's just like,
"Oh my god,
I'm
exist.
Here because
you are in this moment anyway. Shut up."
well, I can imagine, like in the original Tron, and I have no premises. I imagine the original Tron Ascension script, they were gonna have Kevin Flynn back again, but as like someone who's like only a digital ghost because he reformed with Clue. So this is basically like the merge, but he can't escape anymore.
That would be interesting.
And
I'm
pretty sure that's probably would have been the case, And I like the permanence code. They keep mentioning permanence code. Like what does that even mean? That means nothing to me. But the way like, oh, it looks like DNA. Well, it's a code that Kevin created. Like in $10 to 10, that in the original script, it was gonna be like that's gonna be one of the things for like the ISO DNA. It looks like the ISO DNA, right? Maybe the MCP would be like, oh, I can only bring people from the grid that aren't ISOs if they have ISO DNA with them, and that maybe something like that. But
something,
that feels like that's where that came from. Because why else would it look like it? And do you expect me to believe that Kevin created that himself in like the 80s on a
look, we got to talk about this, right? Because in Tron Ares, right, like Jared Leto decides to go back to the Tron world of the 80s, which makes no sense, right? Because like
so that grid is on just like a floppy, right? Like,
right.
Or something?
But no. Even crazier than that, Doug, is that like it's something that's rerouting to a floppy. Right, like whatever the legacy world is kept on, it is then being rerouted to the 80s floppy of Tron. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's running through an emulator that runs through like a private server, and that's how he's doing it.
Like
the permanence code was such a thing. I was like, okay, make it make sense. And I started to make it make sense, but then it dropped for me because I'm like, wait, these nerds 15 plus years after Tron Legacy haven't figured out 2 megabytes of code for DNA? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking?
but that's why it makes more sense if it was just ISO DNA. Okay,
Right.
because one, you could say like, oh my God, Kevin, he found these ISOs, and so
And there's just one left. Like
no,
they
yeah,
were all killed.
yeah, but but not before that, like he found all these ISOs, and he found them before he got stuck in there. So what if you like just kind of copied their code, you know? And he put it on a floppy disk to remind himself, like, okay, I'm gonna keep this there, safekeeping, and then that's where that comes into play. But then you have to explain, like,
Or he finally becomes God, right? Because that's what that development would eventually mean, right? Because in Legacy, he did not know where they came from.
I'm
But then
trying to
what you're talking about,
explain. I'm trying to like how they would explain that they found it like in like an
yes,
old computer, like 'cause he was head
Mhm.
actor, he was studying them, and so that's where that's from.
Mhm.
But then you have to explain too much, and so you have to make it something dumber that makes less sense, you know. Um, and so let's talk about Kevin Flynn, because I do want to talk about it more in depth. He should not have been him. It should have been Bruce Boxleitner. It should have been Tron.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because two things.
Yeah, this whole movie should have been Tron. Like,
yes.
Yeah, but no, but that scene specifically, because there's two things. One, it gives closure to 80s Tron, because it's always been like this back and forth. Like, well, was the Tron and Tron Legacy a copy of the original Tron that he made for himself, or was like he just actually wholesale port the Tron program to his personal grid? They would have explained that, gave him closure to that. And two, the original concept was that he was the anti-Tron, and so
Yeah.
presumably in Ascension, he and Tron would have had some back and forth, maybe, because you would expect
Meets
Tron.
his mirror image.
'Cause
Like what he could be.
Yeah, because Bruce Boxleitner was going to be in there, was going to be in Tron Ascension before that got canceled. And
Yeah.
so you have Tron here, then they can converse. It means more to his arc. You can show the dynamics, how they are different, but how they are both defenders of the grid. You see, because that's what Evan Peters told Ares that he was. And so you can see, like, okay, there's a different path for me, and perfect. Even if Ares still sucked, and even if this was the last one forever, it's probably going to be right. They're going to probably redo it. They do another one. That gives like a full circle moment. Like Tron was talking to his creator, looking for like an expression of like, what does life mean, more or less. And then suddenly in the third one, right,
He gets to give that meaning.
He gets to give that advice back. Yeah, we're just doing the best that we can.
I want to drill into what you're saying there, Elvis, because this is what I was kind of hinting at in something that we were talking about in replies on Twitter. I think that the main problem with this franchise at this point is its connection to Disney. I think that Disney is actually holding this movie series back from being what it could be, and it's actually reflecting the problems of what Disney as a studio has. And I think that, like, if I were to play brand loyalty, which studio would do this best? Tron would actually be a much better Universal property. I feel like Universal would actually understand how to make this into a blockbuster franchise like The Mummy, Instead, it stands as the.
You mean the Tom Cruise Mummy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I want to see Jared Leto tossed around an airplane with no sound effects. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Joseph Kaczynski would come back.
I hope not.
Oh, come on.
To do. Wait, sorry, I'm getting Mission Impossible confused with Top Gun.
No. I was just saying I hope not, because I don't like Joseph Kaczynski.
Yeah,
we're not in agreement on that point. I think he's got some juice.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a moral failing on my end.
He would have given this more juice. Let's just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. He has more juice than the dead man. Or what the fuck is the
dead man tail no tails?
Dead man tail no bullshit.
No, I like the idea of just describing this director as a dead man. Just like this is Tron Ares was directed by a dead person, because that's what it feels like.
I think Disney has a few of those on locked it, like having Ares as your attack dog on command. They have some directors they just keep locked up. They keep de-resing and rebuilding these directors to try and make them stronger.
They have the director of Coda just on standby. They're just like, we'll deploy them when they're ready,
So we can talk about the rest of the movie. I do want to talk about the only other scene that kind of made me think, wait a minute, there might be something to this, until it ruined it. Until it ruined it forever.
Depeche Mode.
And it's the mid-credit scene. Okay, because I'm like, oh my, I think for the first part of that,
Elvis, I'm gonna be honest with you. I left before
Oh,
anything happened in the credits.
I was
had no idea
about to
what
leave, and then I heard the scene starting, and I was like, okay, fine.
so I was about to say, like, wait a minute, is this going to leave off for like on a strong note, and then it just doesn't? And so let me explain because the entire thing, like the entire movie, is just boring as hell. Like, no, they're chase people, bland action scene, badly choreographed action scene ends, right? Ares has no character arc. Anyway, so we get at the end, obviously Julian Dillinger, he's put into like this really kind of weird position where like his mother's dead, he's going to go down for all these crimes, terrorism and all that, and he's a prompt reader saying system rebooted, and he's like, okay, cool, I'm going to digitize myself, and he digitizes himself right before he gets arrested. And I think that's all nice and neat. And then mid credits, you see him, he's on his grid that's completely destroyed. And I thought, wait a minute, so this is like really kind of harkening back to like the religious stuff that the first two had, that this one really doesn't. It kind of really does not have anything religious stuff, but I was really disappointed by it, because that's always been like one of the secret sauces to these movies. Like, I love that shit. Like, okay, so this is like he's descended, he's fallen to like this lower
Right.
pit of hell that's all on fire, it's all red,
It's
like,
destroyed.
it's horrific. And like what if he's like takes up the mantle, like initially beginning for the movie when he talks to the programs, he has like the red, like a red, like, face, animated face, like, oh, okay, so he basically, what if he becomes like the new master control program? He decides to just go in for it. He's like, here I can build like straight up stayed in Lucifer stuff, Paradise Lost again. And then no, what if we just did more 80s bullshit pandering? Oh, Sark, like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Agreed. I was like, this is a cool idea how to escape. Exactly what you said. It was like, oh yeah, he's in hell. Okay. And then then the Stark outfit appeared, and I was like, oh god damn it! Like, where did that come from? 2 lines of code? Did he not make a new operating system and a different server? I'm so lost
I don't understand the grid in this movie of like, so Encom and Dillinger have separate grids, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're all different. Think of them as different servers with different worlds. Like,
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is.
So why is the MCP there? And why is Sark there? Like, why would Sark stuff be there? Makes no sense.
Here's I'll give it only one little saving grace to go on. Legacy code is very much a thing. You pull up a little quieter.
Oh, quieter.
yeah, like she can hear all of us. So
guys,
you mean like stuff built on the bones of like old code?
Like if you any game engine like Unreal still has game code from like Unreal Tournament, right? Like it still has that built into it. So I can like I give some lenience to that, but like
it's just a boring idea.
Yeah, I mean, but if Kevin Flynn can build a computer with a box of scraps, like
in a cave,
in an Arctic cave, then I can imagine that Dillinger Senior.
That was so weird, and I was like, did I miss something from the other movies where they were like, yeah, of course, Kevin always hanging out in the Arctic.
Yeah, but then I think it's like, it's got to be like, okay, they're in Seattle, right? So where are they going? To Alaska at closest? But then she like rides her bike home. This movie.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that when we get the tree that's entirely synthetic, it's literally just the copy paste of a song that's from the Social Network soundtrack. And it's kind of talking about, like, I'm not talking. It's kind of more in line with the fact that like there are no original bones in this film's body. This is a movie that's entirely based on like what is, in quotations, worked with other blockbuster films. It's the most derivative of any of the Tron movies, while also trying to be the most forward thinking. It's like Jared Leto, we've talked about as being the core issue with this film. This entire movie is actor brained.
Yeah.
100%.
That's true. Because it This is I keep going back to like permanence. What they're saying is what they're doing with it. They've like cured world hunger at the end. This is like universe shattering stuff. Like they can now have like a Star Trek society, but why is that the end point? We should start the movie with that.
Right, because but they didn't want to deal with that. They didn't want to reckon with that. That's why I feel like
Yep.
it's like again like The Force Awakens or Scream 5 or something like that. We're gonna want it to be a soft reboot, so we're not gonna actually build. We're just gonna do a clean slate ish as much as we can. We're gonna de-emphasize everything. NCOM also this year they got a new CEO, so we can just do that again. And it's just really lazy. There's nothing to this movie. We can go over the plot, but what's the plot? They run away for 90 minutes or 2 hours apparently.
Like, I think it would actually be more interesting to talk about the fact that like the score does such a good job in terms of like making you think that some of these sequences play so well.
Yeah.
But then after a certain point, you're just like, oh my God, this is way more transparent than even it was in Legacy.
I mean,
where in Legacy, like I feel like there is a lot of emotion behind a lot of the events that happen in the score.
There's a
Emphasizes
synergy
the things.
there in Legacy,
Yeah.
whereas
Yes.
in this,
I'm glad you boys said this because when Dennett and I came out of the film for this, like we both were like, what the hell was up with the soundtrack? Because whilst our feet were tapping to the like whenever you'd hear it, this
yeah, you can
Nothing
bounce
going
your
on.
booty to it.
the
Nothing.
audio, Tron Legacy got nominated for sound editing and nothing else for some odd reason. Maybe Daft Punk was shy and they didn't want to take home again against The Social Network that year. Funny enough, but the sound editing in this is terrible. The soundtrack covers the
horrendous.
dialogue, and the dialogue covers the soundtrack, and it's just really messy.
You know what? Because like I was saying, there's no synthesis, there's no symbiosis here. Like you'll be like, there'll be like this really sweet, tender melody, and it's just like them, driving a sedan down a bridge. Like what's the point here? Like where is the escalation or like the interface between like the visuals and something happening, like, and also like just the score. Like the score is there just to like imbue and ring out any kind of emotion. It's like a squeegee, and it is very transparent. Like
It looks like a car commercial for large
Yeah.
segments of
It's
it,
like
when they're in the real world.
It does.
Yes.
It's so flat, overexposed. There's no vision. There's just no vision. There's no vision to this. The other ones, whatever you can say, there's ambition, there's a vision, there's a clear idea of like what this should be emotionally,
There's no
visually.
Depeche Mode in the other ones.
Like oh my God, I just gotta
Apparently
say,
that was
why...
a Jared Leto insistence.
Of course,
also.
But like of course it was, right? But it's also like Tron, the first movie, was never about how great the 80s was. It was
No.
It's just
the
pandering,
excitement.
dingling keys.
Yes. And like the only reason that anyone would ever have any kind of like admiration for Depeche Mode being brought up in that moment is because of the nostalgia for the 80s itself, not
Just say
for the
Journey.
original Tron film. Exactly. If they said Journey, right? Like that would have made more sense.
I mean, like, yeah, Journey was like they had like an '80s little moment in the second Legacy, where like
also the first song that turns on when Garrett Hedlund turns on Flynn's arcade is a song by Journey.
Yeah,
in
Separate
the
Ways.
in the second movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Separate Ways. Yeah, but like even like that itself had thematic relevance because Separate Ways, the lyrics describe describe his relationship with his father. They're separate, and they can't be together anymore, but they still love each other.
And there's resonance to the song choice of "Just Can't Get Enough" because I just can't get enough branded slop, and that's
took the words right out of my brain.
You know what he should have done? He should have done is that in the final sequence where he fights Athena, he should have started singing the lyrics to that song, and then it should have become a diegetic song. And like should have just done it. You should have gone for
What would have been great if they added when Jared Leto is like released onto the world and everyone's is the that Linkin Park song from the end of Transformers. What I've done, I felt like that, like when I walked.
What I've become, or something like that. Yeah,
just him in Mexico, and it's just like.
We talk about the ending.
The ending of this movie is horrendous horseshit.
Billionaires
Like,
save the world. So what is he?
but also
billionaires save the world. I'm going on a soul searching retreat in Mexico because it's a lawless land that doesn't care that I'm an android with a passport. Like it is just such a
Yeah, what are the
shit.
physics? Is his body
plastic.
what is his body? Does he have
Is
a
he
dick?
immortal? Can he eat?
Does
Like,
he have a dick?
they
You
can-
know?
Like, and also something that we talked about before, it's like in Tron Legacy, there's this whole conversation of Korra being like, wow, the sun is so wonderful. And then in this movie, it's like rain is the wonderful thing, right? And then like the ending of this movie is focusing on the sun again. And it's like, why is he so focused on the thing that's from Legacy that has nothing to do with what made him so enamored with humanity in the first place?
And he's seen the sun before already when he's on the bridge. You know,
I did kind of like that moment with Jodie Turner-Smith when she times out because she's distracted by the sensation of the sprinkler. Like she,
you know what I did like as well when she dies and it turns out she printed a copy of herself already. Like a couple minutes ago.
Jodie Turner-Smith has got more juice in this movie than Jared Leto does. Like, and if this movie was a romantic triangle, you know, I feel like she would have pulled the bootstraps of this movie up just a bit more.
You know what it should have happened is that Ares is such like he used to no care. He just wants to live and like, oh, I want to care about myself. He doesn't care about all their programs, which is I think rubs in the wrong way. He never cares about them, other than like the one guy dies. After like fuck him, I'm out for myself apparently for the entire rest of the movie. What should have happened is to complete his arc, such as it is, he should have given a permanence code to Athena, you know, so that she can live, and then that way she's already like on the wavering side.
Agreed.
And it would have been like a also Superman kind of thing. Also Superman, you know, Lex has Superman's powers, and at the very end, he realizes with the powers that, you know, all the things that he took for granted, he gets a new semblance of what it means to be like beyond, you know, be alive. You know, it changes his outlook on life, and that could have happened to Athena. That way, like he gives it to her, he died, he times out. She's alive, and she realizes the magnitude of that sacrifice. She realizes that he can't come back. He realizes mortality, all that kind of stuff, and that closes out her character arc. Otherwise, it just kind of seems like all that kind of stuff that going on for her was for nothing, so that Ares could live. And this makes it the worst movie I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I would have,
yeah.
I would have preferred if it was revealed that this movie was just the intro to an episode of Peacemaker season 2, and this movie just ended with John Cena dancing in the void.
Yeah.
That would have been all right. Yeah.
Anyway,
because like the Peacemaker 2 season intro looks more authentically Tron than Tron Ares does.
I guess I would give it that.
So I do want to bring up one another thing about the ending. Okay, and I mentioned before it began as well. This ending, like while Legacy left things for a sequel to pick up on, it is a pretty open ending. You can take whatever you want from it. Like anything can happen after that. You know, there's things that they set up, but it's not too focused on. Tron Ares makes very definitive statements about what it wants to happen next, which means the fact that they ever want to make another one, it's gonna have to be a reboot. There's no way to go from it. You either have to retcon all these things, or you're gonna have to like continue them. And they're not gonna want to continue them. It's gonna take like another 20 years to make another one. You want to make another 20-year movie and like, oh, I hope that we can still do the Olivia Wilde subplot 20 years from now. After you know,
I mean, this one made less than any of the other ones, so like I feel like they wouldn't mind doing this thing where like, okay, never mind, we'll do the sequel to Legacy now, and that we'll ignore Ares.
That's the thing. I mean, that they're gonna have to do a reboot of some kind, either a partial one or a full one.
Well, this is where my root argument is, and this is like, you know, if we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I have just activated my trap card. You know, the reality is that Disney is not suited to hold this franchise, and I believe
I agree
that they should sell it to Universal or they should sell it to Warner Brothers, because the reality is that Disney itself as a corporation and as a film studio is not in a place where it can actually accurately interact with technology in a way that's beyond just like corporate interests. And it also just doesn't understand how to tell an interesting story beyond what they've already told before. And it's existed as an issue since the first Tron movie. So like the way that I view it, it's like I would only watch another Tron film if it was under the guise of another studio, or another realm that's free of the franchise expectations that come along with this film post Legacy. Like Ares shows that this is so driven by corporate interests as well as like what Disney's trying to do, that it's moved so far away from any kind of like imaginative starting point that the first Tron movie had.
What if they announced though Sam Flynn is back?
2 tickets, please. One
Yeah.
for
Somehow-
me.
Somehow, Sam Flynn has returned.
I'm surprised he wasn't in the post-credit scene. Like he seemed a game for anything.
Because they leave him on the board. They acknowledge his existence, but they're just like, he left the company. I don't know. He went to go fuck Olivia Wilde somewhere.
That's what I
Hey,
said.
hey, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
I
She has
told
brown hair now.
because she aged or changed
Yeah,
her
we
hair
should cut
or
to we
something.
find out they have kids and then explore what the fuck? What does that mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. What? Because an IO is not the same as a program in the world of Tron, and it's not also a human, right? Like it's an
It's a
entirely
secret third
new
thing.
Exactly, and then Ares is just content with being the second thing, and Ares is saying like that the second thing is enough to enter into the real world, and that's where a lot of like the pro AI sentiment is, where it's like, well, you know, this thing that's been created, yeah, we made it, but also it's its own thing. And the problem is that we go back to the first Tron movie, and it's like, yeah, the programs have their own autonomy, but they're also of humanity, and their own world has its own rules, and it doesn't need to aspire to the human world in order to feel wholeness.
You delegitimize the grid because you're like, oh, well, so then any program getting fulfilling life there, it's bullshit. You actually need to get to our world. That's only good things happen here in this world. So that's where you gotta get, not the fucking grid.
Yeah, I mean,
Precisely.
and like that's the thing. Like that's what it made Tron Ascension a stronger narrative, because that's saving that world. And in this one, it's like an afterthought. It's an afterthought, and it's about both worlds. Like even to paraphrase like something from Legacy, like our worlds are more connected than people realize. So it's the idea that it's its own equal world.
How many programs live on the Dillinger grid? Like
5?
because I was trying to get the scale of like, did they just commit a genocide at the end when they like crashed that server? I'm like, how many people just died, or how many programs just died?
5 probably, man. I don't think
Yeah, those are the all we see are his guards in that room. So I don't know if there's actual above that below that tower. There's supposedly other programs doing stuff, but we don't see them.
This movie sucks at world building. There is no understanding of the reality within the grid, right? And like it always, the digital realm only exists as a method in which we can bring the digital realm to humanity, to alter it somehow. Because again, that's where the pro AI stance of this film comes from, right? This idea that like the AI that we've created could somehow be the answer and the evolution of our salvation. Whereas in Legacy, the IOs are a secret third thing, as you said, Doug, where
it just organically happened.
Exactly. That's so much more interesting, right? Whereas like a Tron Ares, it's like this thing that we created that has to be of us. This movie is almost about like giving humanity to Clue, which like takes away what makes Clue an interesting character.
Agreed.
Well, I got a dip, but it was good chiming in.
No,
and,
we're wrapping up anytime. We're wrapping right now.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, but like it was great talking to you, man.
Yeah, glad to hear your thoughts, man.
Later, y'all.
Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you later, dude.
Later.
Bye.
All right. No, I think we should start wrapping up. Not
totally, yeah.
Unless you want to talk about that riveting scene where Greta Lee does like the raw face, because that's what she did on the magazine cover.
Oh my god, we haven't really even talked about Greta Lee. Oh my god. Yeah. Let's just quickly say like Greta Lee, like what is she doing here? She shouldn't have said yes. I think of her less because she's in this movie. Truth be told,
I'm not sure why anyone's in this movie. Like there was nothing here. Like there's nothing here. As soon as they got the script, like I'm out of here because there's nothing into the script. I can understand why Evan Peters is here because he's He's got no fucking career other than TV.
He
So
has Ryan Murphy show, so this is like an upgrade.
exactly.
Technically.
Greta Lee read the script and then also knew that Jared Leto was the star of this film, right? Like,
Yeah.
who is saying yes to a Jared Leto film?
That there's scenes of Jared Leto watching footage of you as a child, and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
let me be in that movie.
There's going to be a sexual tension sequence where Jared Leto is on top of you and you're meant to feel uncomfortable because it kind of feels like sex. And Greta Lee was like, yes, I want to be a part of that. I'm like, what? Why, Greta? Why are you doing this? I thought you were smarter than this.
I feel like agents tell them that this is like the upgrade, though, because she hasn't done. Is she done a blockbuster before, or no? Not really.
I guess not. But then also, like, is this the best they got? And if so, like, give Greta Lee more in that sense. Like she's better than this.
And the characters
she
are
can
nothing.
be in Eternals 2 or something.
Yeah, the characters are nothings, and the ideas again, cribbed
like
from
Hassan
better
Minaj.
movies.
Why is he in this?
But also the best performance in the movie. I gotta say,
sure,
he
but like,
in.
Yeah, I just don't understand the purpose of any of these characters. I'm like, he's the CEO or of Encom, or what's going on?
He's the acting one because Greta Lee won't do her job.
But then
he's
also,
the CTO, okay.
But then also, like, he is the most like he has the most integrity, and he also like cares the most about how NCOM operates in like an ethical and like moral, like not ethical moral, but like in a professional sense. Like that's the thing I like about Hassan Minaj is that he's actually like kind of like queuing into the world of Tron Legacy, where everybody else here is kind of like almost on like a crunchy granola Russell Brand kind of realm.
I get what you're saying. He's the only one who like even gestures at the stakes of the finale where he's like, there might not be anything left to save. And I was like, oh, wait, is that what this? Because it was like good thing he said that, because I was like, oh, is the world at stake? I guess there's like missile like trail lines flying around, crashing jets. I wasn't getting end of the world vibes, but thank you, Hassan. You put it into perspective.
Look, the fact that political commentator is doing better work than professional actors, got to tip my hat a bit. Hassan Minaj, he did the best with what he could.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we spent enough time on Ares than people actually did on there.
Yeah, than the movie makers themselves. Yeah.
I mean, we're only here because
more than the fans even cared about it. I feel, even more.
Consume products, move along.
Yeah, it had the visuals and the sound. How much more could you want? Like, I don't know, an actual story, because the other ones had stories.
It also didn't have the visuals. I want to keep harping on that. The soundtrack is good, but without the visual, like any kind of synchronicity there's nothing.
Well, to them, it means it has the lines and they close. It's Tron. It looks good, looks cool. Like, no, because art style is not stylization, and this is not a stylized movie in the least.
I also just love the idea where people are just like, look, you got to support the movie. We want this universe more. Forget the fact that there's a pedophile in the lead role. Forget that. It's always that.
Someone said to me, and I had to block him for this. I was gonna block him anyway. But he's like, aren't you being a hypocrite for laying against AI and Jared Leto? I mean,
my God.
I mean, Transformers 1 in the Swedish dub had a pedophile voice, Optimus Prime, and you didn't say anything against, like, what the fuck are you trying to say, man? Block.
I don't even know what that means.
Transformers 1, a Swedish guy was voice Optimus Prime. He was a pedophile too, or some shit like that.
In the Swedish dub of Transformers?
Yeah, Transformers 1.
No.
Well, I'm against it now that I know.
No, Elvis, I gotta say, I can read, I can translate the nerd that you're talking about there, right? Like that is the kind of person where it's like nothing is off limits to them because they have like a fight in their mind, right? Like, and anything in their mind that reaches that, battleground, they will use anything on the moral, grand scale, right? and to them, like, the Swedish voice actor of this series is on the same level for whatever reason as like a main production, right? Because what is a Swedish voice actor but like a regional formality, right? Like that is almost so separated from the original thing, right? And instead, like, the problem with Ares is that the face of the film, the source of the entire
You don't have to
struggle-
go any steps removed. It's step one.
Yes.
There's a
Step one is a
there's
pedophile.
looking at me and being like, "Oh, Aries."
There's a pedophile looking at you and being like, look at how awesome my trip to Mexico is. And you're supposed to go, hell yeah. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like what are you doing?
And I thought this was going to end up with like a really cooler idea for an ending, because when you listen to the soundtrack, this is how disassociated the soundtrack is from the actual movie. The last track on the score is called "Shadow Over Me," and the lyrics are like, "Oh man, everyone was right about me. You can't trust me. I have a secret that I can't hide anymore. Everything's gonna die at the end." Something like that. Like we're running out of time. Things are wrong, and I was wrong. Everyone else was right about me. I'm evil. Like, oh my God, Ares gonna be like
That would have been if you end on the note of he's in the real world now and he has permanence. But wait, we fucked up. That's a bad thing. That would be such a better note.
Yeah,
A better note and a more emotionally honest note.
Yeah, like what piece of backdoor for the MCP? They call them the like, well, I've had in my mind when they call them the master control program. And I'm like, oh wait, what if he's like a backdoor and becomes something like that in the real world? Oh, that'd be so cool. I'm like, no, it doesn't happen. And so that apparently that song doesn't play until like the very, very end of the credits. So it had nothing to do with the movie at all. And yeah, it's part of the soundtrack.
It's kind of the kiss from a rose of the Tron Ares soundtrack.
Anyway, I gotta get going.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up. This is a 4-hour podcast on Tron, but we nailed it.
We nailed it.
Hey, there's a lot of ground to cover.
Let me get your pages up, bros.
Well, hold on. I'm prepared for it this time. You've given me enough headway. I'm not going to get thrown off this time.
There you go.
Ah!
Every time.
Every time he gets me. My name is @PoorOldRoloTony. That is my webpage of the Twitter variety. In Films We Trust, I just did a record on that episode for Beneath, the 2013 Larry Fessenden film, which is a masterpiece. If you have not watched it yet, watch it. Also, These Guys Got Juice,
Hell yeah.
I'm on that show all the time, check that in, and also tune in next week when we get the next VHS episode, because that's going to be a barn burner. I'm excited.
The gauntlet, man.
The gauntlet. If Tron was a gauntlet, this will be even more of a gauntlet. So
true.
I'm excited.
Decide the future of the VHS franchise.
the hierarchy of the VHS franchise is about.
You go, Doug. Come on.
All right, this is my Twitter at the Doug Files. It's also my YouTube, and then also, like Tony mentioned, These Guys Got Juice. So we've got a few recent episodes. We've covered some pretty cool horror movies. Check those out, and we got more cool stuff coming. Yeah, that's what I got.
All right. And you know what? I'm really glad that you guys are here. I'm again also glad to Soup and to Chris for dropping by. And you know what? I love this series because you love something doesn't mean you have to love everything about it. You have
right.
to.
That's the healthier mindset of like, I love it, so I want good versions of it.
Yeah, you want to be good. You don't. You mean when you vote for your wallet, it's not because you're like I need to pay for it to show that more of it can exist. It means that you have to be discerning. Otherwise,
right.
Everything just falls to the wayside. And
why would they try if you just show them you're gonna slop up any slop that they give you? Then it's like, well, okay, then we can just do no effort.
Exactly. And Ares is the last effort I want to see from this. I want if there's going to be a reboot or a soft reboot or whatever, then bring it on. But I hope it's good. I hope it has themes, characters. I hope it has Tron. Fingers crossed.
Hey, is that
you're asking for a lot.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. See you next time. All right.
End of
farewell
line.
programs. End of line. That's good.
End of line. Boom.
Baba Booey.